All right, we're live. Welcome back, gentlemen. We're at episode number 13. I'm joined today by Andrew Tate. How you doing, Andrew?
I'm doing pretty good, friend, considering the world's in a global pandemic. I've still got food to eat, and I'm not sick yet, so I'm doing all right.
Yeah, what's the state of things like there in Bucharest?
Yeah, so they've got a serious lockdown going on. So after 10 p.m., no one's allowed out the house. During the day, you can drive, but only with a piece of paper from your work confirming you have an essential job. Otherwise, it's $1,000 fine. Armies on the streets. It's a serious lockdown here. They've taken it ultra seriously.
Does that have any effect on your casino business, with the fruit machines and all that?
Casinos are closed. They've closed my casinos. So for a while, the first week or so of the quarantine, we were staying open. We managed to get away with it and stay open for a while, and we were making money. But then health inspector came along. We tried to convince him otherwise with a pile of money, and he still said no. So went above his head, and they closed us down, which is a pain because obviously we just opened 3 of them. We were making good money, and now it's closed for God knows how long. So
gotcha.
That's the game. It's the game. You just got to survive, aren't you? That's all you can do.
So for those of you that don't know who Andrew is, came across him, I'm going to say a year and a half ago on Twitter. He's got a bit of, he's got an opinion on a lot of things. Let's put it that way. Former kickboxer, 4-time champion, was it?
Yep, 4-time world champion, retired now, old man now. But
okay.
Yeah.
Was born in Chicago, and your folks split when you were young, and you went to the UK with your mom.
Correct.
With your brother and sister. How old were you guys when you guys split?
I moved to England when I was 11. So 11. When I was 11, I moved to England. My father stayed in America, and I was with my mother, my brother, and my sister in a homeless hostel, aged 11 in England. And
was that in Luton, by the way?
Luton, yeah. Which is
I was actually born in Luton.
You were born in Luton?
I was born in Luton, yeah.
How?
Yeah.
That's like the worst town in England.
It's a shithole, yeah. It's not a nice place. Actually, I went back to the UK to try. Well, my dad decided that Canada wasn't for him anymore because he was having trouble getting a job during the what was it, 88, 89 recession.
Yeah.
So he went back. Half the family went there. My younger brothers went. And then I went when I was around 21 or so, and we went to Bedford.
Yeah.
And we actually stayed in Kempston, which is pretty much as bad as
I know exactly. Yeah,
it's a real shithole. So I was there for about 3 or 4 months, but that was an interesting change because I remember, going back and forth when I was a kid, and I'm curious as to what that was like for you at 11, because you think it's English, but when you go to England, it's you've got to replace sweater with jumper, pants with trousers. Trucks with lorries, you go right down the list. Like, what was that like for you shifting your life from North America to the UK?
Yeah, it was quite different. I mean, obviously when you're a kid, you're more susceptible to things like, you're at the time I was the only American in school, and the education was different. Like, you go from learning certain lessons to completely new things. And I was really big into chess when I was in America. There was no chess scene. So it was a complete 180 in terms of lifestyle. But I think kids adapt, and I'm really a strong believer in the fact that I'm very thankful my parents didn't give me any sympathy in that regard. Like, for when we moved, my dad's sisters were saying, "Oh, he's losing all his friends. He's moving country. He needs therapy. He's going to be upset." That all this shit, and I'm super glad my parents said, "You're a Tate. You're going to be fine. Shut up and go to school." And you just get on with it, don't you? 1 week in, you now live in England, and I believe children can be that way if they're trained to be that way. So. For a while, it was kind of weird, but then after a while, you got to go to school and you got to do your things, and you just carry on with life. So that's how it was. And in a way, I'm glad I moved. I think when my mother, this is actually quite weird because I'm seen as a conservative, but I was raised in a country with a strong social system and raised in a homeless hostel and all these things. And they say,
especially when you're on the dole and everything,
yeah. So we were in a homeless hostel at the time. It was the Kosovo crisis. So there was this big house. And it had like 10 rooms, and each family was in a room. So it was our family in one room, and there's 9 other Kosovan families. So I was from the bottom of the socioeconomic ladder in that respect. But yeah, I really do believe whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and I'm super, super happy for everything that happened in my childhood. I'm 0% like, you can make excuses and be a dickhead, but I don't think it was that hard. I mean, I had food to eat, I had somewhere to sleep, so I'm a kid. What more do you need? That's what it is. What it is.
Yeah, there's a good chance you wouldn't have become the man that you are today had those circumstances not been imposed on you. Like, you didn't choose them. Yeah,
absolutely. And adversity is there's no such thing as becoming anything worthwhile without adversity. There's no other way. This is what people don't seem to understand, is that I know it's an age-old adage. I know it's easy to say, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But adversity is the absolute key ingredient in absolutely anything that regards success. You want a six-pack, there's adversity in the way. You want to be a world champion, there's adversity in the way. You want money, there's adversity in the way. The sooner you become accustomed to adversity and you no longer become adverse to the idea of it and the stress of it, the sooner as a person you can say, okay, fuck it, let's go. And you become tolerant, then the better you're going to be as a person. So when I have children, the number one thing I'm going to ensure is that there's as much adversity as possible in my son's life. Even if he has a comfortable life. I've got money now, but his ass is not going to have shit. Because he's going to be working one way or another. He's going to be struggling because I know that's how things are forged. They're forged in fire, and there's no other way to do it. So, yeah, absolutely. I'm glad that everything wasn't smooth sailing.
Yeah, what's that old saying? It's no pressure and no diamonds.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is the reality of life, and you look at the most durable people in the world, or the most durable countries in the world, the most durable societies. They're not easy societies.
No,
that's how people survive. So,
but today we want an easy society. I want to talk about that more towards the end, but I want to kind of stay in your childhood for a little bit as we kind of move through your life. Because I mean, like the whole point of this playlist is really we're talking about playing to win in life, not playing not to lose. And I try to look for people that are interesting, that have opinions. They've obviously done something of importance and impact in their life. And a lot of guys I hear today complaining on social media about how they don't have an upper hand. They don't have a leg up. They were raised in a single mother household. They didn't have a dad around, blah, blah, blah. Insert, victim mindset mentality. So your folks split when you were 11, 12 years old. Why did they split, by the way?
So my dad was, I believe I had the greatest dad in the world, but he was a part-time dad in regard to the fact that I saw him, even when we lived together, I saw him maybe once a week. I believe, and as much as this is contrary to the manosphere and stuff, I believe a father can be a fantastic father one day a week. I believe a mother's job is the sustenance, the food, the basic shit. But the mindset installation is from a man. And I believe that if he's powerful enough and capable enough, he can do that in one day a week. That's how often I saw him, So that was enough for him to do what he did. He was a professional chess player. He was constantly traveling the world, drinking, playing chess, fucking girls, doing whatever he wanted to do. And one day my mom had enough of it, so she wanted to go back to where she was from. She was originally from England. They moved there together. They split up. She wanted to go back to England. So that was it. And I went with her. So my dad didn't at any point, there was no big battle. There was no big fight. There was no custody or nothing. He said, you're the oldest man. You got to look after her. You have to go. Go. And I'll see you when I see you. And it is what it was. So
did you see him much when you guys went over to the UK?
Once a year, once every couple of years, maybe. But we spoke all the time. We spoke all the time. Up until his death, we spoke every single day. And like I said, I truly believe that a man's presence can be felt in many forms. I always felt like I had a father. I always felt like I was learning. I always felt like I had guidance. This whole idea that I need to be with my kid every day or he doesn't have a dad, I think that's complete bullshit. And it also depends on how good you are as a dad. I mean, my dad had such a presence. If when we were living in England and he lived in America, if my mom said, I'll tell your dad, I'd still be scared. Well, the guy was on the other side of the ocean, and I'd be like, whoa, okay, I'm going to be good because I know in 7 months he's going to turn up. And that's like God above. Like, that's how much I respected him. So he still had his influence and did his job remotely. And I believe a lot of fathers can do that if they're capable enough.
Yeah. So what were your teen years like without your dad being around that much? Like, did your mom find another guy? Did she bring a stepfather into the house? Did she just stay single the entire time? Like,
yeah, she stayed single. She didn't really. My mom is one of them kind of old fashioned kind of women. There was no other real stepdads around or anything like that. She stayed single. I from a young age, because my father was obviously a grandmaster, I had chess in my life for 3 or 4 hours a day from a very young age. So when we moved and I moved to England and there's no chess scene, I lost my chess coach. So the chess disappeared and I found fighting. So I kind of found a lot of male guidance quite quickly because I started fighting nearly instantly. And a fight gym is a fantastic place to cut bullshit out of your life.
How old were you when you started that?
15, maybe. 15, I started fighting.
And then competing? Like, were you around the same age or did you start to learn the craft from 15?
Yeah. So I started when I was 15 and my first fight was when I was 17.
Sorry, say that again. You cut out.
I started when I was 15. My first fight was when I was 17.
17. Okay.
Yeah, 17 was my first fight, and I was with that fight gym all the way to the end. So I always had like strong male guidance around me, strong male energy.
There's loads of that in a dojo. I mean, I always tell guys, there's a lot of guys like, well, I'm weak and I don't have a strong masculine role model, and I was raised by a single mom. I'm like, get into combat sports, man.
Yeah, well, this is the problem with the whole space is that I get the same thing you probably do. People come to me and ask for advice, and I just sit there and I look at their long message, and I sit and I know for a fact they're full of shit. Men build their value. There is no reason why every man cannot be in good physical condition unless they've decided not to be. So you can't come along and say, oh, I really want girls, and you're fat. No, you can't, because if you really wanted them, you wouldn't be fat. Like, you're not trying. And there's no hacks in life. You're not going to hack your way to the top of anything. Maybe you'll win the lottery or something. You know, there's the odd rapper who's a complete moron with a low IQ who becomes a multimillionaire. That's fine. But for most of us, there's a grind involved, and there's no easy way to the top. So completely agree. There's no reason why every single man couldn't go to a fight gym, and that's going to teach you more about life. Getting punched in the face will teach you plenty about life. It'll teach you about cause and effect.
No, I agree, man. There's a lot of people that have never been punched in the face. I said the other day on Twitter, half these guys, like half these Muppets on there that are running their mouth, have never been punched in the face. They'd never say half the things they say right to your face. Absolute,
completely true. And that's why Twitter is what Twitter is. And this is why liberals love it so much, because they get the balls to finally have an opinion. But in the real world, you know, people, especially as a man, this is the fundamental truth about being a man. Up until very, very recent history, if you weren't capable of violence, you weren't even allowed an opinion. I tweeted yesterday, who gives a fuck what you think? You can't fight. And it's semi-sarcastic because we live in a civilized society. But in another way, it's not. Like, if I say 2 + 2 is 5, and I'm prepared to fuck you up, am I wrong? Like, you know, there becomes a point when it's the bottom line of the human existence, isn't it? It's always been a constant, and being comfortable with it is never going to be a bad thing. So, yeah, men, absolutely. There's plenty of male guidance out there if they really want it. And I was raised as a single mother, like there we go, single mother, homeless, blah, blah, blah. I have every excuse to be a delinquent or an idiot or broke or soy or whatever. And I understood the world enough from a young age to know, no, I don't want to be that way. So,
how did you figure that out? Like, what was the influence for you? Like, most people will default to sulking. I get a feeling it's more like a function of society today, just the way that we've been. I mean, people have been bred to rely on the state, to sulk, to have a victim mindset, because they think that they'll get what they want by whining. But why did you lean more into, let's go do some work, let's learn combat sports? If chess is not available, you know, for me to compete in, I'm going to go do this instead. Like, why not just sit around and pick your nose and cry?
Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of important lessons from my dad in the days I lived with him. But one of the things he was very, very good at, he had a few fundamental themes throughout our when we lived together throughout my childhood, and one of them was about excuses. So if I lost a chess game, for example, there was a chess tournament. It was 7 hours drive. We drove 7 hours. We stayed up all night. I stayed up with him. I played chess in the morning. I lost. I only had 2 hours sleep. And when I lost, I said, "Oh, because I was tired." And my dad made a very big point of saying, "Look, it doesn't matter if you were tired. Your excuse has fucking nothing to do with the win or the loss next to your name. You've lost now. No one's going to say he lost, but he was tired. They're going to say you lost." And this is the truth about excuses in general. Any excuse you can fabricate. Nobody cares. The universe doesn't care. Did you win or did you lose? Life is binary. Did you survive or not? If you come at me and say, "Oh, I'm fat because X, Y, Z," the girl in the club isn't going to be like, "Oh, well, he's out of shape, but it's okay because X, Y, Z." You're just fat. It's binary. Life's binary. So you have to make a conscious decision. Excuses don't exist. They don't have any weight. They don't matter to anyone else. So why should they matter to you? And as soon as you realize that all that matters is the result, and you have to be binary about your decisions, then you're going to start throwing all that crap away. And I understood that from a very, very young age. So even when I was a teenager in England and I decided I wanted to be successful, I didn't sit and go, "I want to be successful, but I'm in a single room in a homeless hostel, single mother." I just knew I wanted to be successful. People are either going to view me successful or not. They're not going to care about anything else. So if they're not going to care, I didn't care. It didn't enter my mind at any point. I didn't let it cloud my vision, if that makes sense. It never entered my mind. This is my situation. This is my scenario. So I have to do what I can do, and that was it.
I want to switch gears for a bit. Talk about cars, bikes, that kind of stuff, because there's not many people out there that I can have these sorts of conversations with. It's so weird to me today as an adult, because I remember sitting at the bus stop as a broke 15, 16-year-old looking at, you know, like nice cars drive by, waiting to catch the bus to go to work, thinking to myself, you know, that's going to be me driving that car one day. And today, as an adult, there's not a lot of guys that like cars for some reason. I don't get it. I mean, there's very small niche communities, and they'll throw all kinds of money at it. You've got how many supercars you have? I think you said the other day something like $2 million worth of cars sitting in your front driveway.
Yeah, $2 million worth of cars. And it's actually interesting you say that, because I was exactly the same. When I used to see fast cars when I was young, it used to ruin my day. It used to make me angry.
Yeah, me too.
I'd be walking to college and I'd see a Ferrari and I'd be like, how does he have 300 grand for a car? I haven't got $30 in my pocket. That's all my money in the world. Like,
Yeah.
I felt like there was a whole reality to the matrix that I was missing. There's some kind of hack. Because even then, at age 15, I remember this story very specifically. I'm walking to college, me and three of my friends. We see a Ferrari. I look it up. I find out how much it costs. And even then, I'm saying to my mom when I got home, if you work a good job, like, how much do you make a month? She's like, oh, maybe make 3,000, 4,000. I'm like, that still won't buy that car. Like, how did this guy get that car? It didn't make sense in my mind. Yeah. And there's a whole reality to the matrix that bothered me for a long time. And I think that's one of the key elements to things like success in cars and stuff. If you really want it, you'll find a way to get it. If you don't really want it, you're not.
You'll find an excuse.
Yeah, you think an excuse. And I think a lot of the reason people don't like cars is, well, they'd love cars if they could buy one, but they'd rather pretend they don't like them because they don't believe they're ever going to be able to afford one.
There's a real loser mindset that shows up a lot. I notice, like, there's this car club that I'm a member of, and we go for these drives, right? We always have these organized drives. We meet up in the morning, we go for a drive, right? So there's like, can be anywhere from 50 to 85 exotic supercars, you know, like even like M cars, AMG cars, stuff like that. And we'll go and meet, we'll have lunch. And there's always like people coming out to look at the cars in the parking lot. And I remember sitting in my car one time and there was this mom with her 2 or 3 young boys and are walking around and like, what do these guys do? Where do they get these cars from? And she's like, oh, these are just rich people showing off. You don't want to be like this sort of thing. Yeah. And they send the wrong messaging. And like, it really bugs me. That's literally one of the few things that irk me is when I hear people say, just quit. It's not worth competing, just quit. And you know what? That's fine. Because in life, there's people that will compete and there's people that will quit and are just, you know, more or less cogs in the wheel. Yeah. Your passion for cars started when you were younger. I mean, you see these things, you see a Ferrari. I saw a story that you put out once on your motorcycles, because you were in a bike set once. You had a Gixxer, you had a GSXR. Was it a 750, 600? I had a 600, and then I had a CBR 600 as well, and then I had a Fireblade. I loved bikes for a very long time because it's cheap speed, isn't it? I had 4 of them, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So you understand.
Rockets,
if you want real performance, they're cheap speed, but unfortunately they come with the danger involved. I had 2 bad bike accidents, and I kind of retired from bikes when I started.
How old were you when you stopped riding them?
So I was riding illegally for a while. I was riding at 17, and in the law in England is you can't ride a superbike till you're 21. So at 17, you can have a superbike, but it has to be restricted. So I bought a bike. This is a really long story. I'll make it very, very short. I had this job. I was an IT technician at high school. I came out of high school and I came back into the same school fixing the computers, and I started fucking one of the students. So I got fired. But even though she was 16, I was 17. But because I was a member of staff, she's a student, blah, blah, blah. So they fired me. And when they fired me, they paid me to the end of my contract, basically. And I had this little bit of money, and I bought a bike. I paid to have it restricted, and then I took the restrictor out myself. So at 17, I'm burning around on this 200 mile per hour super bike. And everything was good for a while until some woman who wasn't paying attention pulls out on me and just takes me completely out of the game. And you know what? The thing is, I remember. I was going about 90, and I got down to about 70 before I hit her car. She pulled out right in front of me. Yeah. Here's the thing is crazy. I saw her look at me. You know, when you ride a bike, you watch people's faces.
Yeah, so your head's on a swivel.
Yeah, I'm driving. I see her come up to the junction. I see her look directly at me.
She pulls out anyway.
And she just pulls straight out. I couldn't believe it. And I hit the side of her car, blah, blah, blah. I wasn't asleep or anything. I woke up.
And you went right over it?
Right over it. And I was on flat on my back, and I was winded, but I was awake, and I got up. And I remember this was what put me off bikes the most. When I walked back over to her car, she's still sitting in the car, and she had the most stupid look on her because it was shock for her. She didn't know what happened. Yeah. But the expression on her face is what annoyed me the most. I can't even replicate. Just complete, just like a moron. She didn't know what happened, and I thought, is this what? As great as I am, is this how I'm going to die? Like this complete idiot. It was crazy. And then from there, I
came to almost the same conclusion when I was 30. I mean, I never had an accident like that. I had two close calls. And I was fast on that thing. Like, I remember I got that thing up to red line 6 gear. I think it was a ZX7. It was indicating over 300 on the speedo. And you don't look down for very long because you're even on the highway, like, things moving by you really quick. Yeah. But that was great times. I mean, I always tell guys, like, I always think that a good motorcycle is a rite of passage for a man, because they're very, very difficult to control, and they're so powerful, and the barrier to entry is so low because any Muppet can go out there and spend $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 for something that'll do, you know, a good 300 kilometers an hour.
Yep. Yeah, they're amazing fun. They're great fun, and it's just the other people on the road. And I feel like eventually, if you ride them forever and you ride them the way
your number's going to come up at some point,
and the way that you were riding, yeah, eventually something's going to catch you. And I you know, that's what happens. You get confident, you get comfortable, you're anonymous, you got the mask on, you're doing wheelies, you're going fast, you're in and out of cars, you're driving like eventually, sooner or later, life's going to check you. Yep. And then life checked me, and I'm still here. But I know some guys that checked and never woke up again. So it gets to that point where it's like, you know, and I feel safer with my cars. I feel a lot safer with the cars.
If you had a son, would you let him ride a motorcycle?
That's a very good question. And I don't know, because it was a big part of my life and I loved it. And I think it's maybe a better car driver. And I like what I did. But then also I think of some of the stuff I did and I'm like, Jesus. So I don't know. I don't know if I'd let my son ride a bike. That's a very good question. I'd hate to think I've sheltered him in any way. Yeah. But I also know I had too many close calls, man. So I don't know. That's something I have to think about.
So supercars, you're basically in a coffin. I mean, you're in a cage. It's a hell of a lot safer. I mean, if you go off the road, the toll you pay is going to be a lot lower if something happens anyway, because you got airbags and everything now today. What do you have in the drive? You've got a 720, an Aston.
Yeah. So I've got
go through the list of what you're sitting on.
Okay, so I've got the new 911 992, the Porsche, the brand new one. I've got the Aston Martin Vanquish S Ultimate, which is there's only 175 in the world. I've got Lamborghini Huracan. I've got a McLaren 720S. I've got an M5 Competition. I've got an S63 AMG. I've got an X6M. I've got a Phantom. I think that's it. Maybe I've missed one, but I think that's it.
So, yeah, I mean, you're close to 10 cars there. Yeah. What's a Phantom? Is that a 2-door or a 4-door?
My one is a 4-door.
4-door, okay.
It's a 4-door.
Let me ask you about the McLaren, because I drove with the 2018 when it first came out. I mean, I picked up my R8 and I dropped it off at the dealership to get software tuning on the motor. Yeah. And they just PDI'd a 720S, and I was asking the dealer about it, and he goes, "Yeah, if you want to take it out, you know, go for a spin." And I was blown away. Like, that is going to be my next car. You've had that car for about a year now?
Yeah, those okay. So McLarens are basically like the crazy girl you shouldn't be going out with. That's what they are. Because they're beautiful, but they're trouble. Like I always, and it's not just me. Everyone I know, you have little warning lights, engine lights, stupid lights for no reason. It's not a big hit, but that's always a problem with reliability. And
has it been in the shop much? Like, do you have a McLaren dealership in Bucharest, or do you have to ship it out?
I got to ship it to Germany, bro.
You have to ship it for service?
Yeah, three countries away.
And those warning lights come on often.
Yeah, I mean, I've developed a little system. Anyone who's out here with a McLaren will know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you get in the car and you press the start button without holding the brake, it turns the computer on first. And then I wait 10 seconds for the computer to turn on. And then I start the car, and that actually avoids most of the problems. And I will get a warning light maybe twice a year. And it's a warning light for no reason. Yeah, it doesn't affect the performance of the car. It just annoys me, so I have to ship it to Germany to get rid of it. But that car is incredibly fast. Yeah, it's incredible. It will smoke a Lamborghini. It will kill a Lamborghini. It will kill an R1. I've raced everything you can think of. It just smokes everything, but only if it grips. This is the one more thing with it. If it's a little bit wet or it's not quite hot outside, because it's 720 horses to the rear wheels, you're just gonna slide all over the place. You have to make sure you have grip before you play with it. But it's
actually a lot more than that. They throw them on the dyno, and they found out that McLaren's been lying about the power output on the motor, which doesn't surprise you. But I mean, it's literally as fast as the holy trinity of hypercars. So basically the P1, the LaFerrari, the 918. I was actually in the UK a couple of years ago in the spring at Bruntingthorpe. There was an event that somebody put together with the holy trinity of hypercars, and it was a 200-mile-an-hour challenge. So we had to drive these cars. Well, not had to, like it was a fucking liability or anything, but we had the opportunity to drive these cars down the airstrip. And the only car that had enough power to punch through 200 in a headwind with the length of the runway was the LaFerrari. So everything below that, there was an Aventador, SV, a couple other McLarens, a few Porsche Turbo S's, another Lambo, something other. I can't remember what the hell it was, but the P1 actually caught fire that day. The guy that lent the cars,
McLaren,
it caught fire, and I didn't get my chance to drive that car down the strip, but I took the LaFerrari down, and that thing was like Normal cars, when you floor it on the highway, for those of you that aren't, like, if you get in a regular car, like a Honda, you know, a Hyundai or something like that, and you get in the highway and you put your foot down, it'll build up a little bit of speed. But when you get into a proper, powerful, like 700 plus horsepower car that's got aerodynamics and it's built right, it just like it doesn't stop pulling.
Yep.
Like you're sitting there doing 180, 190, 195, and you're looking at the speed and it's like, and it just doesn't stop.
You'll pull all the way to the top. Yeah.
It's like your limitation is the amount of road that you have, or if there's any cars in front of you, and that's
how
fun.
brave you are.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and that's fun.
The 720 will pull all the way to 300 kilometers an hour without even a break. And the power in the 720 is amazing. But this is the one thing I'll say about it is that I'd never recommend it to someone as their first supercar because of the headache and because of how dangerous it is. A McLaren will let you crash. So, like for example, my Lamborghini Huracan is so well built. It's so easy to drive. It's 4-wheel drive. If you keep it out of race, a girl could drive it. Like
it's like the Honda Civic of supercars. They're very reliable too.
It's easy, very reliable. It's easy. It's beautiful. Makes noise. It ticks every box. But off the line,
except for the doors.
Yeah.
It's missing the doors.
Exactly, that's true. But off the line, it can even beat the McLaren because it's got that 4-wheel drive system. Yeah. But once you're rolling, if it's a rolling start from let's say 20 miles an hour, the McLaren will just kill it, destroy it. That car is so fast, it's unbelievable. Have you had any mechanical issues with the 720? No, I've just got these stupid lights and they say something's wrong and nothing's wrong and they reset it and that's it. And then my Huracan's been perfect. My Porsche is Porsche, isn't it? The thing is with Porsches, they're such great cars and they're such value for money, but no one cares. Yeah. No one cares, bro. You can be in a 992 Turbo S, brand new one. It's nothing. You park that next to a Lambo or a McLaren, it's invisible. Yeah, it is. True. You know, and it's a shame about them because I like them as cars, but they just don't have that factor or that show-off factor, you know? Have you ever driven one on a track? I don't like the 911s because the engine's so far back. I mean, if you don't get your braking out of the way before you come into a bend, it's going to pendulum around and it throws you off the track and you're in the rhubarb before you know it. Yep. Are the new ones more balanced in this sense, or because the motor mounts kind of shift the weight a little bit? Yeah, it does. It does certainly feel better, the new one. But the best handling car I have of all of them is the Huracan. The Huracan super surprises me. The Huracan, if I were to race the 720 in a Huracan on a really windy track, the Huracan might take it. It really grips like anything, not like nothing. I don't know what they've done to that car, but it really is incredible. And this is the thing: people say to me, "Why do you have so many cars?" And it's like there's so many subtle differences in all of them. This is my justification. My mom is like, "What are you doing? Another car?" I'm like, "No, but they're different. They're all a little bit different. It's like having a blonde and a brunette. You want to mix it up a little bit." So it keeps driving fun when I have all these cars. And yeah, they're expensive, and but it's a hobby, isn't it? It's something I enjoy to do. And since I've retired from fighting, I have to find one way to get some adrenaline, and a McLaren 720 will do it. So yeah, it'll definitely wake you up. What was I going to ask you about the car situation? So the problem with supercars that I find, especially McLarens, right? Like the MP412C. Yep. I did a video on my channel a long time ago, around 2015 or so, when the 12C had just come out. I think it was 2013 had just come out. Yep. And a friend of mine had one. We took it out for a drive. Brilliant car, 350,000 Canadian dollars. I think it cost them, maybe a little bit more. Yep. You can buy those now for 120 grand Canadian. Yep. They sink like a rock. And most of the cars you have, like a regular Huracan, it's not limited production. It's not a Performante. Yep. 720, it's not an LT, for example. Yep. They don't hold their value very well. So my question to you is, why have 7 or 8 supercars that tank in value? Why not limit it down to 3 or 4 that are more limited production, like a GT2 RS or like an LT version of a McLaren or like a Performante version of a Huracan? No, it makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. So with all my cars, there's always some kind of scenario where I end up getting a fantastic deal. So I can even tell you the story behind my McLaren. So I have all my cars are British plated, even though I live in Romania. So all my cars. I noticed that. So my wheel's on the wrong side. So, which annoys everyone but me. I'm used to it, so it doesn't bother me. So all my cars are British plated. And one of the reasons for that is because I have a very good friend who works recovery for a leasing company. So people lease these cars and they can't afford them anymore. And then the leasing company takes them back, and then the leasing company wants to get rid of them. Okay. So I can give you an example with my McLaren. My McLaren was bought brand new for 280,000 pounds. So that's like 350,000 euro. 4,000 miles later, I got it for 175,000 pounds. So I saved 105,000 pounds for 3,000 miles. So it was like a lease or a finance repossession. They just couldn't afford it. So they repossessed it, and then they're looking for someone who has the cash sitting around, which is rare. Not many people have 170 grand cash. But I had it, so I say I saved so much money. So with a lot of my cars, I saved a lot of money. I mean, the Aston will keep money because it's limited production.
Yeah.
So I find ways to save money on them, and also what I find is, not that this justifies my stupid habit at all, but because I have so many, I don't really put many miles on them because I have so many to drive. So even across a year, even if I drive every day, because I have 9, they don't really put too much mileage on them, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, I know I'm always going to lose some money on them, but I really don't approach them that way. I buy them and I enjoy them. I don't think about resale values and stuff. I'm just like, whatever, it is what it is. As soon as in my mind, the money's gone. Whatever I get for it when I sell it, good. But in my mind, the money's gone, and I just buy it to enjoy it. And you live once, man. I want to die with no money in my pocket. I'm not really one of them family legacy kind of people. I was raised poor, and I'm happy I was raised poor, and I want my sons to be raised poor. So every penny I get, I'm going to blow. So you better give it to me, and I'm going to spend it. Like my dad died with $12, and I'm going to die with $11, and that I'm happy to go that way. So that's how it's going to be.
What do you think of the new 720 LT? What is it? 765?
765.
Yeah. Have you seen the specs on that?
Yeah, bro.
Sexy.
Even the 720 is. I don't feel like I've mastered it yet. So I don't need to buy a new one yet. I feel like there's still more in that car I've not yet experienced. It's so fast. So yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe one will get repossessed. They'll offer it to me a little bit cheap, and we'll see what happens. We'll see.
Hold on to that. Okay, let's go back to fighting. When did you start to compete in kickboxing, or was it MMA? Because I saw something on your Wikipedia page that you've been involved in MMA and kickboxing, but it looks like you've relied mostly on kickboxing. Yeah. So my first ever fight was an MMA fight. I've had 6 MMA fights, but just by the way my career progressed, I was offered more money to kickbox. And when you're a fighter, you need to get paid. Fighting is a very, very difficult way to make money. It's a very hard. It's a shit. They don't pay you much. Like, you didn't make most of your money fighting, did you?
Nah, no. I mean, I became 4-time world champion, and the most I ever got paid for a fight ever was like $75K, which is money, but it's not boxing money. It's not millions. I mean, 75 grand. You pay your manager some. You got to pay your rent. You pay your car. Like, it ain't life-changing money. You can go through that in no time. Especially if you only fight twice a year or 3 times a year. You're not a rich person. Especially living in London, your rent is like $7 grand a month, and so it's very expensive to live where I was training. So. Yeah, I mean, it's a terrible career path. If you're trying to make money from fighting, there's a huge level of luck involved. There's the few names everyone can say who are multi-millionaires, but it's very much like modeling. You have the supermodels everyone knows, then you have all the models beneath them who no one's heard of, who are broke. So it's very, very similar from that perspective. But I chose fighting because, to me, fighting and chess are very, very similar sports. Because there's absolute accountability. There's no team. It's one-on-one. If you lose a chess game, you may not know exactly where. It may have happened a long time ago. It may have been a tiny mistake. But if you lose a chess game, at some point you made a mistake. At some point you messed up, and it's your fault. If you get knocked out, it's the same thing. You made a mistake. And if you win, it's all you. There's no team. If you're a team sport, you can have a bad day and your team can carry you to the end. Or you can have a good day and you can lose. Whereas with fighting and chess, it's one-on-one. It's absolute accountability. No one can save you when you're in there, and it's brutal. Chess, when you understand it at the level that I was being trained to understand it, and my dad understand it, is absolute brutality. And to me, they were very, very similar sports. Nothing else appealed to me ever. I've never been interested in anything else. Also, I think another reason for that is because fighting is something you can carry around with you. If you go and learn to fight, you have it. If you go and learn to play football, as soon as you don't have a ball at a field, what do you have? Nothing.
Yeah,
so I felt like you're learning a skill,
Did you ever gravitate towards team sports? I mean, there's not a lot of guys out there that lean more on one-on-one sort of competition. I mean, I played soccer when I was a kid, football for those in the UK, but never really got into things like hockey here or other team sports. I mean, I played a little bit of volleyball on the beach just for fun to get the sun, but I've always preferred one-on-one competition. Like, I used to watch motorcycle racing a lot. I used to watch some competitive, racing on TV, but I just get bored sitting around watching other people chase excellence. Yeah, did you ever have an interest in team sports or watching people play team sports?
I can say this so honestly, I've never watched. I mean, if there's a real big fight on, like Tyson Fury or something, I might stay up if I'm not too tired, but I've never watched sports. I've never been interested in sports. Even kickboxing, the sport I was a world champion. If I wasn't fighting the guy, I didn't care. I would never watch anyone else. I am absolutely and utterly selfish from that regard. And I think that the best thing you can be as a man is selfish and self-driven. I don't think that's going to ever harm you in any way. I say to people all the time, because on nonstop, people come at me for my ego and insult me and da-da-da. And I try to explain to them, it serves me well. If I wake up every day and think I'm something special and I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna prove it to people, then it's gonna give me a good life. So, you know, I'm uninterested in what other people do. Like I know Ronaldo's good at whatever he does. And is that his name? Ronaldo? Whatever. He's a good football player. He gets paid a bunch of money. He's good. Whatever. I don't care. He doesn't pay my rent. I'm so uninterested. And I know it's obviously that's kind of counterproductive because as a professional, I relied on people caring about me fighting. Yeah. That's the way it's always going to be. But I think if someone were to come to me as a man and say, look, I want to be the man, I'll say, you better stop caring about anyone but yourself then. You better.
I always find it strange when people wear jerseys with the name of another man on their back.
Yeah, it's a very cheap attempt at individuality and success and achievement. But this is the thing. It's a hack for them to try and feel like they've done something. Yes, my team won.
My team won. What did you do, dude? You sat there watching, eating your Cheetos.
If you got coronavirus and you sent a message to that team and said you need $500 for a ventilator, they wouldn't even reply to you.
Yeah.
You know, like where it doesn't make sense. But I think these guys know that on some level, but it's just a nice, easy way for them to feel happy with themselves without too much work and too much effort put in. And this is what it all comes down to. At the end of the day, you're either motivated to do something excellent or you're not. And motivation is something which most people lack. And a lot of people, especially in Twitter and this side of Twitter and stuff, they all talk about it. And 99% of them are absolutely full of, don't want to swear, full of lies.
Full of it, yeah. You talked about ego and the placement of it. So what was the origin of ego for you? Like, where did you start noticing where people like, Andrew, you need to calm it down, be a little more humble? Like, when did people start telling you that? At what point, and where do you think that came from?
So when I was a kid and I was a chess player and I was winning,
started early.
My dad always encouraged me to brag.
Yeah.
So yeah, you won. Go brag. Tell them you won. Like this is the real world. You won. Only losers are going to be upset when winners talk.
Yeah.
You know, this is how it goes. You know, and there's obviously social norms. I'm not saying go through life and be completely unlikable, but if you wake up every day and you look in the mirror and say, you know what, I've looked around at what I see, and I'm up there. I'm the man. I'm the top 5%. I'm the top 1%. Like who out there can do more than what I can do or lives better than what I do? You know what? I'm doing well. If you really believe that in yourself, then what's going to happen is you're going to feel motivated to prove it. This is the thing. It's very difficult. You have to have a mental disorder to have an ego with no justification. Those people have something wrong with them. But if you're going to wake up every day and work your ass off and make money and buy cars and train and be in fantastic physical shape and do all these things to prove your ego, so when someone comes along and goes, well, what's your problem? You say, I ain't got a problem. My life's good. Then you're going to have a very fantastic life. Why would you train or work hard if you don't have an ego? If you don't have an ego and you're not all about me and what I am and who I am, why would you even care? People without ego are the lazy people. Oh, I'm fat, but I don't care. I don't have a nice car. I don't care. I love myself way too much to be broke or fat because I'm me. So my ego is the absolute motivator. If someone comes along and goes, I have no motivation, then you have to say, okay, you're very, very happy being average. Why is that? Because if you change your mindset, you'll work.
What do people publicly criticize you for the most? Is it the ego or? It's
ego, but you know what? I've done a very, very good job. And this is exactly the exact thing I was saying. I've done a very, very good job at one way or another proving not saying that I'm the greatest man alive or anything, but a lot of people say I'm strong. But they say they're strong. Well, where's your proof? Or like that I can say I've done well now by this point in my life. I have accolades I can draw up. You know, I can say, well, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. And that's all down. That was all ego driven. Mm-hmm. There's no other reason to get in a ring and risk your life to fight some other psycho from the other side of the world besides ego. Like, why else are you going to do it? Money? Mm. I didn't get paid for most of my fights. I got paid pennies if you compare what I was doing. I saw 5 people die. I put a guy in a wheelchair for life. Like, what? This is not a joke. Like, you're not going to get in the cage and risk getting hurt forever unless you have an ego. This is the whole drive behind the whole thing. You said you could beat me. You think you can beat me? Okay, time and date. Like, this and
a sanctioned fight is the only time you could put somebody in a wheelchair and suffer no consequences legally.
Absolutely,
right?
0 consequences. Mm. Because before the fight, you sign your life away. Every time you sign a piece of paper.
Yeah, I was going to say you have to sign a waiver. Yeah.
You have to sign a waiver. It doesn't matter what happens to me. It doesn't matter if the medic doesn't turn up on time. It doesn't matter if I die. It Doesn't matter, doesn't matter, doesn't matter. It's my fault and I want to be here. Sign here.
Mm.
So it is what it is.
I saw a humble side of you once on a video. It was your fight that you did recently, last couple of months in Romania, where you kicked the guy in the face in the first minute and he went down.
Yeah.
And you went and sat down with your mates afterwards and you said, I was actually scared walking in there. I wasn't sure what was going to go down. Like I wasn't that comfortable. I wasn't that confident is what I picked up on. So, I mean, you have an opportunity to have a strong, well-placed ego.
Yep.
And there's a lot of people out on social media that have a misplaced ego. I'm not going to name names, but there's really a lot of idiots out there that have done nothing with their lives, don't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of, that walk around swinging it like they're king of the world, and they're nothing, right? But here you have a guy that's competed, he's won, he's obviously made bank. One of the questions a lot of people ask me is, they'll be like, hey, that guy Andrew Tate, you think he's full of it? You think he leases his cars? Do you think he actually has the money that he has? And I don't know you personally. This is the first time we've ever spoken one-on-one, right? I don't think we've even exchanged that much on Twitter. No. But my response is, well, clearly he has the cars. He's paid for them, right? You can tell by his lifestyle that he's sorted, and he's a kickboxing champion. So you have to give him that much at least. Does your ego rub people the wrong way? Probably. Did it rub me the wrong way at one point? Probably. But there's a reason why it did, right? It's placed properly.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's also about, and just going back to me being humble and being afraid. Yeah, I was absolutely afraid. And because fighting is a scary thing.
Well, you put something on the line there, right? Because I mean, you're the world champion, you come back out of retirement.
Absolutely. You're putting your life on the line, and you're putting your reputation on the line. I mean, if that guy beat me, I'm the world champ. I've come back. I haven't trained or nothing. But this goes back to my earlier point on excuses. I accepted that fight on 24 hours notice because he was rude to me in the dressing room. The story behind that fight is I was commentating on that show, and that guy appeared to fight, and his opponent didn't turn up. And then me and him got in an argument, and he said, "Why don't you fight me then?" And because I'm such a dickhead, I said, "All right, okay, fuck you." So I agreed. So then afterwards, when I calmed down, I'm like, "Oh, now what have I done? I've been smoking cigars and drinking vodka for 3 years." And so then it's like if I lose that fight, he's a nobody compared to me in the sport. But excuses don't matter. I can't lose that fight and go, "Oh, but I wasn't training," and no one cares. In the video, I got knocked out. That's all it's going to be is people tweeting at me videos of me getting knocked out. So it's a big risk, it's a big risk. So of course there's absolutely fear involved, but so it's having an ego, but it's having a healthy ego and being a realist. I'm a realist, and I understand that there is possibilities I could lose. So I'm definitely afraid, but my ego gave me the bravery to do it anyway. And that's what
is there anything that scares you today?
Say again?
Is there anything that scares you today?
I mean, I have a few, I don't like heights, a few things like that, but there's nothing that I'm afraid of that prevents me doing what I want to do.
Well, that's a well-placed fear because of falling. Like I always wonder why people jump out of planes. It just never connects for me. So
it doesn't make sense.
To me, that's normal. But I mean, do you have any fears of anything today specifically?
No. And I really do believe that I had a really interesting conversation actually with a guy. I think it's another podcast that's going to come out, and he was a psychotherapist and he wanted to psychoanalyze me. And it was quite interesting. And he asked me quite a similar question. And I tried to explain to him, I am very, very sure I could speak to psychologists for the next 1,000 years. I know myself because I've tested myself.
Yeah.
And I know myself absolutely. And I know who I am and what I'm capable of. And I have absolute faith in myself. I have absolute faith in Andrew Tate, not only Andrew Tate, but Andrew Tate of the past and Andrew Tate of the future. So even if I look back on my life where I made a wrong decision, I have faith that at the time I believed it was the right decision to make. And also I have faith that if I buy 9 supercars and somehow my business is messed up and I run out of money, I have faith that Andrew Tate of the future is going to pull something off and still be rolling around with a bunch of big titty chicks. He's going to do something. He's that guy. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I'm not really afraid of anything. As long as I get to be me, I'll pull it off. I'm one of them. I know I've got the skill set. I'm one of them dudes. I'm a survivor, because I never sit around and cry about situations. It doesn't matter what happens to me. I know I'm going to find a way. So I'm not really afraid of anything. I have zero fear of going broke. I have zero fear of anything. Like it doesn't even, none of that even crosses my mind. I'm completely combat ready at all times.
Was there a pivot point, like a shift point where people went from criticizing, like there's this old adage, because when I started my business around 2003, people were telling, it's not going to work. You're not going to make it. You're going to piss them off. Yeah. You're never going to get rich doing this, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And then I started following people that are like, just work so hard that these people that criticize you ask you for a job, basically. Was there like a pivot point for you where people that were criticizing your choices and your ego and the placement of your decisions in life, where they started pivoting around the other way and say, hey, how did you do that? Can you hire me? Can I work for you? Can I come to Romania and do what you do, sort of thing? Like, when did that happen for you? Because that often happens to everybody.
Yeah, that's a very good question. So I've actually been quite fortunate in the fact that my social circle is probably one of the smallest in the world. And that's because it's my brother.
It's usually the best way to do it.
That's 85% of my social circle. And that's a superpower within itself. Like, a lot of people ask me how I ended up red pilled and all this stuff about girls. And I said, because I wanted to be with my brother. I didn't want to be with some chick. So it's very, very easy to not end up in a marriage trap when she's like, let's go watch TV. And I'm like, no, me and Tristan are busy. We're riding motorcycles and training and driving cars. And I don't want to. It's boring. So that was one of the reasons. So he was always with me 100%. I have a lot of old friends and stuff who are all of a sudden like, oh yeah, I've always wanted to go to Romania. I'm like, no, you didn't. Nobody wants to go to Romania. No one wanted to go to Romania until they saw me on the internet and they see what I'm up to. And they're like, okay, now people want to go. Before me, it was a completely forgotten part of the world. So I do get a lot of that, but I mean, I'm to the point, man. I'm really not one for social norms. I'm to the point. If I think someone's trying to, take advantage, or I know they're trying to play games, it's very easy for me to say, no, I'm not interested, whatever. It is what it is. I have a very good life I live with my brother and my cousin. There's 3 men. We're all here. We're doing the same things. We train every day. We work every day. We make money every day. Between us, we've got 10 or 15 girls, and that's it. Like, I don't need any more than that, really, in many ways. I have my old kickboxing coach and a few people I've been to war with. But besides that, I keep my circle small. I don't really look. This is another point that goes on from what we were saying earlier. The more validation you can find from yourself and from your own achievements, the less validation you need from outside. If you need a big group of friends to feel happy, you need to ask yourself why. Like, I can be alone in a room with no cars, no money, nothing. I could be alone in a room and I know I'm the man. I've done it. I've been afraid. I've done sleepless nights. I've done broken bones. I've done it and I've been through it and I did it anyway and I won. So I'm happy regardless. So I don't have these big groups of, you see these rappers and they get all these idiots around them and all this. That's not going to happen to me. Never in a million years. So yeah, but to get back to the question, yeah, I do get people who try, but it doesn't really work that so well for them. They're like, oh, I'm going to come visit you. And I just don't reply.
You see a lot of families that have like siblings that end up being estranged practically. I mean, there's a lot of people, they don't talk to their brothers or sisters. You and your brother are pretty tight. I mean, I got 2 younger brothers, so I know what that's like. Yeah. How did you guys form that tight bond? Like, what was the catalyst with that, or was it just always there? Okay,
so my theory on that is, I've got a sister and I love my sister, but I don't talk to her that much because men and women are very different. My sister, like, what can I talk to her about? Girls, like, or cars or fighting, so she's my sister and like, it's different. But as for my brother, I think a lot of the reason, in my experience, because I get this message every day from guys, I want to be close with my brother like you're close with Tristan. And I think 85% of the time men are not close with their brothers because of girls, because of women, because their wife or their girlfriend, or every time I dig into the story, it's some girls involved. My wife doesn't want me going out with my brother. My wife doesn't want me doing it. My wife wants me home, blah, 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 blah. So you have to prioritize things. I've always prioritized my relationship with my brother because I know if I get into a car accident, the only man strong enough to run into flames and rip a door off a 720 is my brother, not my wife. My wife's going to scream and I'm going to die. You're like, if stuff really hits the fan, a lot of people have this idea, oh, things are hard, let me call my wife. I've never viewed women that way. I view women as something I enjoy, and I have no hate for women, and I can love women, but I will never rely on a woman. If I get in trouble, I call my brother. I'm never going to be like, oh, there's a problem with my business, or oh, there's this problem or that problem. Let me call my wife. What's she going to do? She ain't going to do anything. And a lot of guys, because they want to feel better, they want emotional support, they want the wife to pretend to care. Oh, it's poor you, because that's all she's going to do is feign sympathy. I want solutions. If I want solutions, I call my brother. So I've always prioritized my relationship with my brother above girls. So I've had girlfriends in the past who are like, you're always with your brother. It's weird. You're two full-grown men. Why don't we live together?
That's a shaming tactic, yeah.
Yeah, they've all tried it. They've all tried it. And I'm like, okay, well, you can keep trying, but we're going to the club and you're staying at home. Bye. It is what it is. So it's just a decision you have to make. And I think the natural life arc, a lot of men get married, and then their number one life partner becomes a woman, and there's advantages to that, but there's also a whole heap of disadvantages.
Was there ever a time that you put a woman ahead of your brother?
Absolutely zero. Not one. You can't name one. Not one.
So there's no lesson out of that, really.
I would shoot any girlfriend I've ever had in the head before I'd lose my brother. Yeah. Not even close.
Yeah.
But and this is the truth. Also, there's another big element to that, and I find this a lot. People often say to me like, the way I live my life and the way I am, et cetera, et cetera. There's been periods of time, let's say for like 2 or 3 weeks, where Tristan was away or on a TV show or something, and I was living with just a girl. If you live with a woman, you lose your edge. You do. No matter how hard you are as a man, if you're only around women and your best partner, I'm not trying to insult married guys. I'm just trying to point out the facts. If you're living with a woman and she's your number one partner in life, you lose your edge. And I'm not saying you become a pussy. I'm saying you lose your edge.
No, it just happens. I mean, there's a lot of studies that corroborate that, where men's testosterone levels drop when they get married.
Of course. You can't be a predator living with a wife. But if it's you, your brother, and your cousin, you wake up every day, you lift a bunch of weights, you fight, you train. Okay, now we're making money. Let's jump in the cars, bang, let's hit the club. Boom, boom. You keep this level of a predatory instinct around you when you're living with men. So even the women I have in my life now are very understanding of the fact that there's time I'm with girls, and there's also at the time I'm with men. I'm with guys, because I don't feel comfortable. If I'm only with a girl all the time, you just start to soften to avoid arguments or whatever. You lay in bed longer, or you watch TV. You do all this stupid crap. And a lot of that is just girls getting in your head. If you're living with men and they're all competitive men and you're trying to compete with them, you're going to be the best version of yourself. So this is another
problem is that the narrative that most men get is become less so she can become more. Make sure you wife up these hoes, go get married right now. Yep. Like it's not a lot of people have that mindset. Where did you get that mindset from?
It's a really good question. And just to quickly touch on marriage, I don't see the advantage to marriage in the Western world at all.
Well, there's none in North America whatsoever.
I would never get married. I live in Romania, where there's no alimony and no divorce rate, let alone in America. I don't see the point. Why? If I have a woman and I love her and I want to have kids with her, I'll do that. I don't see why I need to sign a piece of paper and let government interfere with what my dick does.
Well, the problem is even if you don't, the state still enforces family law on you in North America. You don't have any choice.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Right?
So it's very, very difficult in the West. That's for sure. So even I don't have the answers. I don't know. It's very difficult. But yeah, for a very long time, I think the fact that I started fighting so young and I took it so seriously made me very, very aware of the fact that I have to be a selfish person. Like I've had girlfriends my whole life, but when you're training for a fight and in 3 days, you're going to fight some psycho from Dagestan, and your girlfriend wants to complain because you don't feel like going to the movies, you're going to very quickly be like, okay, you have to go. You're going to become ruthless because it's either that or you're going to lose.
Yeah.
So fear of fighting kept me very, very realistic with my expectations from women. You're going to be quiet now, or you're going to cook, or you're going to leave me alone, or you can't be around me right now. I've got big problems to deal with. I got stress. I want to be with my brother. We have to train. We were going to run a marathon. What have you done? Nothing. Just be quiet. So I've always kind of been that way, and fighting red pilled me to some regard. And yeah, the fact that me and Tristan we're in a homeless hostel from an early age, these little things all add up, and we just have this relationship where we've always worked together. If you put 2 or 3 full-grown men in the same room with the same goal, you'd be amazed what gets done. You'd be amazed if you take 2 or 3 men and they all wake up in the same place and they say, you know what, we're going to get strong, and I'm going to be stronger than you. And the other one goes, no, I'm going to be stronger than you. So all right, then let's go. You give that a year.
Getting's good.
Yeah, you give that a year and you see some strong men. Maybe you're not the strongest of the 3, but you're certainly stronger than you were when you started. Men are born to compete. This is what we were born to do, and it's been removed from life. There's no competition. And if you start to compete and you brag about it, you upset everybody. Well, welcome to the real world. I love the idea. We'll go into Super Chat in a second, but I love the idea. I wish I lived with someone who could kick my ass. Every morning I spar these two and I school them. I'm jealous. They're jealous of me. I'm jealous of them. I want someone who can beat me. Like the competitive element is the fire of being a man. This is what's going to make you happy as a man. All the time I get messages. How do I be happy, Tate? I'm like, it's because you're not competing. You're not conquering anything. You're not doing anything. You need to go out and conquer the world. This is what men were meant to do. We're combatants. We're supposed to be out sailing the 7 seas and raiding countries and stealing wenches. And we're not doing none of that. You need to replicate it somehow in your life.
No, most guys are sitting around playing video games thinking that's accomplishing the same thing, but it's not. It's not even close to it.
It's a cheap imitation. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's a very cheap imitation. We got a super chat here. I don't even know what your avatar is. I'm not going to even try to pronounce that. But Tate, you said you want kids. How do you protect your net worth? I'm on my purpose bachelor life at the moment. Fall in or F off. Kids is a different game. How to proceed?
Very easy.
Recommendation on what is your take? Because you've talked about wanting to have kids. So what is your approach to having kids? Like, how are you going to protect your net worth from her unilaterally changing her mind if things don't go her way and taking the kids and running off or something like that? Like, how would you protect yourself from that?
Okay, so I know I have a serious advantage living where I live. In the West, it's much harder. It's much harder. But there's three things I want to say. So firstly is I believe that if you're careful with your mate selection, because there's a lot of bad things said about women in this space. And I know I've had a lot of women who've worked for me, maybe money, whatever. We can get into that in a minute. But there are a lot of good women in the world. There are good women. And I'm not saying that all women are good, but I'm saying if you're man enough, you will find women who respect you for that. And I'm very confident that even today, there's 15 women I could call and have kids with. And
well, that's the first thing that you said there is respect you. And most women don't respect the man that they're with.
Exactly.
Or respect men in general.
Exactly. But if you can make a woman respect you, you'll be surprised how quickly they'll change. Mm-hmm. And I know that if you find the right woman and she respects you, even if you are out and you've got other girls, and you're doing your thing, whatever, she's going to respect you enough to think, you know what, this man needs to be in the kid's life. Is
respect the same as value? Valuing you as a guy?
Yeah, I think that respect is all it is. I have women who hate me. They don't even like me, but they respect me. So they'll still come get naked. If a woman respects you, she wants to have sex with you. It doesn't matter. If a woman loves you and doesn't respect you, she doesn't want to have sex with you. Love, all that has nothing to do with it. It's all down to respect. Women sleep with men they respect. That's it. Simple. That's the end of the game. Yeah. If a woman respects you, even if she doesn't like you, even if you're an asshole and you cheat and da. How many times have we seen this? Time and time again. The bad boy. He treats her like crap, but she still respects some elements about him. And that doesn't mean you have to be a bad person. I'm just saying having respect from women is the most important thing in the world. And if a woman truly respects you, she ain't got to cut you out of the life of any kids. You haven't got to be like, oh, I've got to be home because she's not going to let me see the kids, all this crap. I know I have 15 women today I could call and have children with no marriage, with no obligations to even turn up. And they'd be like, okay, please come see them when you can. Mm-hmm. And because they respect me as a man and they know what I'm like and they know they're not going to ever change me. So that's the first thing. Is there a risk in your mind that respect that they might have for you today changes later? You know, the kids come out and 3-5 years down the road, she's got a difference of opinion. Yep. Something changes in her mind for whatever. And her opinion of you, her respect goes away. Yep. How would you protect yourself against that? Because I think that's what this guy's super chat was really asking. Yeah. And it's right? Because question. I mean, a woman always reserves the right to change her mind at any given time. She might respect you today. Yep. She might get what she wants. You know, she's got the high level alpha DNA. She's got the kids now. But 5 years later, she says, you know what? This guy is too much for me. Yeah, I'm going to go. I don't think a woman's mind changes instantly. I think it's a slow erosion. I think it's gradual. And I think if you've been in the game long enough, you can detect it. I mean, I'm probably sure you get the same thing in consults. When a guy comes to you and says, oh, my wife left me, I can't believe it. And then he tells you the story. You're like, well, that was coming from 2 years ago, bro. Yeah. because you're ignorant to the game. Like, I'm not going to say I know everything about girls, but certainly I know a lot, especially from running. Anyone who's watching this doesn't know I had the webcam business. I had 75 girls working for me. I know the game inside out. I can tell if respect is slipping. I can tell if it's waning. And then there's action you can take to retaliate from that. But I also think that, you know, what kind of woman, unless she's a complete psycho, would not want the father in the child's life if she respects the father? And that's the question. Like, whenever she goes, I don't want you seeing the kids, that's because she thinks you ain't worth anything. If she really believes you're all that, she wants her kids to be all that, even from a selfish perspective. So it's just a matter of, I understand your question. What if she changes her mind? But I don't think that's going to something that happens overnight. I really don't. And if it does, and if it did, let's say worst case, I have kids with a girl, and 5 years later she goes, oh, you're not going to see your kids, blah, blah, blah. I still think there's plenty of tactics and ways to avoid those, to avoid having my life completely ruined. I know women well enough. I had a guy, this is a true story. I had a guy come to me and said, my wife won't let me see the kids. I was like, I don't know why you're asking me, bro, but he asked me. And he goes, what should I do? I said, tell her you don't want to see the kids. And he's like, what? I said, yeah, tell her you're busy and you're out and you got a new girlfriend, and tell the kids you'll send them something for Christmas, and send her some message. Flip it on her. Take away. The most basic psychology in the world. That was her punishment to his ass. You can't see the kids. You can't see the kids. Da, da, da. Okay, well, I'm busy. I got a new girl and I might be moving countries, so it's actually good. I really trust you. Let me know if you need anything. Five minutes later, she's like, you better come see your kids, you deadbeat. Reverse psychology. Yeah, because women are basic, man. There's no way. No woman's going to try and keep kids. That's just not going to happen. Like, Adam's got a question here for you. It's a bit of a follow-up. So when you see the erosion, how do you reverse it? a good question, and it depends on the individual situation. But basically, it's like passing any other shit test, isn't it? I mean, I'm going to tell you something I know I've learned about women, and it's a truth that no one wants to admit, but it's absolutely the truth. Females live in constant we talk about men competing. Females live in competition. Females live in competition. The easiest way for a woman to respect you is for her to see you with a girl hotter than her. I've had women. I've had women. Let's say I was living with.
That's dread. That's basically what the manosphere calls dread.
When I had my cam business and I had 4 girlfriends. Let's say I had a bunch of members of staff. I had 4 girlfriends. We're all sleeping in the same bed. Every single one of those girls would be like, "If you just get rid of the other ones, I promise I'll be perfect. I'll work for no wages. I'll do anything you want. If you just get rid of them." And one time, by complete coincidence, girls quit, or one girl got sick, or whatever. I ended up with this girl. So the other 3 left. Mm-hmm. She was not nearly as nice as when she had the other girls around. Then she has an attitude.
Yeah.
Because there's no competition now. So you're saying, how do you deal with the erosion? A woman will always respect you if you got a hotter girl than her. If I had a girlfriend and I had kids, and then she starts going, "You're not seeing these kids," I just be with a girl hotter than her, so I'll have new kids. You gotta be ruthless. I'll have new kids with this bitch who's hotter than you. I'm playing these games. I don't play stupid games. Raise them on your own. I give you a penny. You gotta be like that. I know it's not easy in the West. But when she sees you with this hotter girl planning a new family, I guarantee she's like, "Bear, come see your kids. Come see your kids. Give me money. Come see your kids." I guarantee it, because she doesn't want to lose the game.
Yeah, that's not easy for everybody to do. I mean, especially in the West, because of who you are and what you've achieved, your level of competency, the amount of money that you have, and where you've placed yourself in the world. So you're in an advantage where you've basically put yourself in the top 1%, which is a smart thing to do.
There is no easy answer. And this is the question. What's the easy answer? What's the answer when the state is going to destroy you regardless? Well, what's the answer? There is no answer. I mean, you need to find some guy you can trust with your money. If you have a good brother, send him the money, and then, I don't know, you can play all these.
Yeah, you can set up your assets in a way.
You can set up your assets and stuff, but still, she's always going to have the advantage. She can still go to court and lie and say you intimidated her and take her kids from you. What can you do? I don't know. What can you do? All you have to do is to be very, very careful with your selection. I say this all the time as well to guys. Even if you want to be a family man, you need to be a player first, because you need to have a good choice. You need to be very, very careful with your screening and selection. If you sleep with 500 women, the woman you choose for kids is very likely to be a good mother who's not going to play these stupid games. The people who get caught up in these games are guys who can't get any other girl. They get some girl, they see a few warning signs, they ignore them. They ain't getting any other choice, so they stick with her, and they end up with all these problems. If me and you go to buy a supercar and the engine light's on, we don't buy it. These dudes can't buy anything else. So they take the car and then they're like, "Oh no, there's problems later down the line." Well, you should have seen it coming. You have to have options. The people who are going to have the happiest family lives are players, because they're going to
live with multiple women, or do you have it limited down to
I've
like
got
one
two
or two?
now. I've got two. Yeah.
And they don't show up much in your videos or your social feed, like the stuff on Instagram and stuff like that.
Yeah. So on Twitter, you'll see pictures of them now and again. You'll see them.
I mean, it's just not interesting to you. Like, I think the storytelling that you like to rely on is, what you're doing with your guys and the businesses that you're in and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of it. The reason they're not on Instagram is because my Instagram's a chick magnet, and I don't want to scare chicks away. This is just truth. My inbox is full of girls. It's just my Instagram is just me, money, supercars. So my Instagram's full of girls. So that's the reason. My Instagram's my almost primary dating tool. I was
going to say it's a sales funnel for you.
Yeah, I can go on Instagram and load up my inbox and get 10 dates in 5 minutes. So that's the reason I don't put girlfriends on there. As for Twitter, I put them up, etc. But my relationship with my women is I absolutely and utterly love them. It's not that I'm heartless and I don't love them, etc. But I'm not going to compromise being who I want to be or living the life I want to live. I want to live a life where I feel free to do whatever I want. It is what it is. And if you don't want to be with me, then you don't have to be with me. No one's forcing you to stay. I'm not going to beg you to stay. You have to make a choice. People say this all the time. How do you get 2 girls to share you? Because there's no other choice. They can leave or they can share. What do you want to do? And I've had girls say, "Oh, I'm not doing this." Well, bye then. Bye. Bye. See you. There's the door. But you have no power. This is the thing that most men don't understand. You have no power in any negotiation if you're not prepared to walk away. In any negotiation,
put a boys down to all the time.
Yeah, business, girls, anything. If you're not prepared to go without, you have no power. If you're married to a woman and you don't want to get a divorce because you're going to lose the house and the kids, no matter what, you really don't want to get divorced. What power do you have? If you're not prepared to get the divorce, you have no power. She can just say, "I ain't cooking, I ain't cleaning, I'm going to cheat. Bye." What are you going to do? You have your only power as a man, your only power in life is the ability to say, that's enough of this, see ya. And that's what most men won't do. I will. And that's how I get what I want, because if it ain't what I want, I leave.
Mm-hmm.
It's not rocket science, it's just being uncompromising. That's all it is.
Want to switch over to business stuff. You're involved in a few businesses now, right? From what I understand, you got the casinos, the fruit machine casinos.
Yep.
There's no tables in them. It's all digital machines.
All digital machines. And the reason I've done that is because it's fully accountable. Money can't go missing. It's all trackable. It makes it easy.
Can you have tables there?
I could have tables, but then I need a different license, which isn't that hard to get. But then I need members of staff, and that means members of staff handle money. And then I need members of staff who watch the members of staff, and a member of staff who watches the member of staff who watches the member of staff. And it just becomes a pain. With these machines, I set it up, and I turn up when I'm drunk if I want to play on the machine a little bit. I have an app on my phone, and I can see in real time the money that's gone into every single machine, and that none of my staff handle cash at any point, and I can't possibly be robbed. And for that reason, I'm sticking to machines. So,
I mean, you've structured your life and your business in such a way that it doesn't expose you to a lot of risk. So you got the casino set up. I mean, you ramped up cam girls. You set up to 70, 80 girls at one time.
Yeah, that was at one point. So that was about 4 years.
And then you pulled back. Was it just more trouble than what it was worth at one point?
Absolutely. So I learned with cam girls, it's better to have special forces than an army. Mm-hmm. So when I had the army of girls, you have a whole bunch of girls who are crap, a whole bunch of girls who aren't pulling much money, a whole bunch of girls who just cause drama, which upset the good girls. So they don't make as much money, blah, 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 blah. So this is when I was living in England. It's a nightmare.
I can see that could be a handful with 70, 80 women dealing with all the drama, right?
Well, people think you're living like Dan Bilzerian. And I'm telling you, there's nothing that's going to make you want to have sex less than have 80 girls work for you. It's a nightmare because you want the money. I'm a money guy. I want money. Most guys can get distracted by tits. I can't get distracted by tits. I'd rather have money. Give me the money. Yeah, I'll fuck you. But then, okay, now I want the money. I'm back to the money. It's none of this love crap. So
you wound it down to a handful of girls. You know, you got your Navy SEAL team sort of thing, your special forces. What else do you do right now for business? Because I mean, you've got yourself well diversified. On your Wikipedia, it says something about agriculture or tobacco industry.
Yeah, so I've got a company here in Romania. I bought up a bunch of cheap land, and I've done a partnership with a guy who's growing some stuff and giving me
cultivation of tobacco is what it says.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we're working on that, and we're working on getting our own cigars produced. But I'm quite lucky in the fact that I'm quite liquid. So this is what I say about business all the time: cash is king. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people who I know guys in London who have 20, 30 million net worth, but it's all stocks, bonds, property, blah, blah, blah. So when crap like this happens, not only is their net worth taking a beating, but they don't have very easy access to liquid money. I mean, they can borrow money against an asset or whatever, but they don't have a lot of liquid money. The way I'm making money with casinos, and before this, the only way I ever got rich was cam girls. Cam girls is what made me rich. I don't hide that. I was not rich before cam girls. Cam girls made me rich. When you
what was that making you monthly when it was at its peak?
So when I had 75 girls, I was turning over $500,000 a month.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the tax rate on that, what did that look like? And was that in Romania or was that in London?
That was in England, but I was paying taxes in some other crazy country. So
what was the tax burden like? Was it heavy or was it?
The tax burden, yeah. I mean, I'll be perfectly honest. I'm saying I teach this in one of my courses on corporate.com, but the main reason I spoke about tax was to the girls to scare them. They were scared of the tax man. I didn't care. Because by that point, I had it split up going in all different banks all around the world, different names, my brother's name, my sister's name, my mom had a bank in Bermuda, and I had all these different accounts, studying money all over the place. And I paid a bit of tax in the UK, but I'll say now, I don't live in England. I didn't pay what I was supposed to pay. No way. I'm going to get rich. I didn't play. Because that's the great thing with internet money. You can send it anywhere. You could put this here, put this there, this in Thailand, this there. So I had money going all over the world.
You also left London too in England because you found the country itself, the laws were not treating you well. So you decided to pick up and leave, you and your brother, and you said, well, let's go somewhere where we're treated properly. I think you had an incident, you said at one point, with women that were manufacturing some indignation out of something.
Yep. I fired a cam girl. There was a cam girl in my house. So with cam, I had houses. I didn't have a studio. I had houses. And in my main house, there was always unlimited alcohol because it keeps the girls happy and fun, whatever. This girl.
What does that mean? They can work from home?
No. So they'd come to my house. Okay. I had a big house. I had a 10-bedroom house, and they'd come to the house and work, but there was a fridge full of snacks and alcohol and whatever.
Got it.
And the girls would drink alcohol, and it made them more, they enjoy cam more. Because happy girls get tokens. You got to be happy. If you're miserable, the people who are going to cam are trying to escape their miserable lives and their miserable wives. So they want to see a smiling face.
Mm-hmm.
So the girls used to drink, and this one girl drank too much wine. She threw up everywhere. I told her to clean up. She started giving me some attitude, and one bad apple ruins a bunch. So I took all her shit and threw out the window. Legit, from the 4th floor. Just threw her shut the window, said, get the fuck out of my house. And because she's an English girl, because English girls are like this, starts like threatening me.
You can't do this. Yeah.
You can't do this, blah, blah, blah. So I very calmly, because I'm a professional fighter. I'm not going to hit. I don't need to punch a girl. I very calmly, her stuff's already out the window. She's fully dressed. Got her 2 arms, took her ass, put her outside my door, closed the door. That was the end of it. So she started texting me, you owe me my wages. You owe me £1,000. I was like, look, you ruined my carpet. So I ain't giving you nothing. So I was texting her back and forth saying I'm not going to pay her. 3 months later, 5 o'clock in the morning, my house was raided. And she went to the police and said that I attacked her and I was abusing girls and forcing them to work. So that's because I didn't pay her £1,000. So my house was raided at 5 a.m. I was arrested. I was put in a police cell for 36 hours. My house was forensically searched. My phone, laptop, everything was taken. And even at the time, there was 9 other girls in the house, and none of those girls turned on me. All 9 went to the police on my side and said she was lying. It still took me 2 years to beat that case. 2 years where she was saying I hit her that day. And I thought, how can I run this business? Well, I can't even fire a member of staff without going through this. I lost $100,000 electronics. They took all my laptops, my phones. They took everything from the house. They gutted it all, the house out, forensically searched everything. Absolutely insane. This is the law of the UK. So I came to, at the time I was still fighting. So I came to Romania to fight. And when I was at a fight, I met a guy, and I met a police chief, and I told him my story. And he said, well, in Romania, if she doesn't have proof of if she doesn't have physical evidence, then there's no progression. If she can't say here's a red mark or here's where he hurt me, there's no case. It's word on word. And I said, that makes a lot more sense than a girl going 4 months later to the police and saying a professional fighter hit her with no mark on her and then ruining my life for 2 years. And that was the decision to move.
Yeah, I mean, like the whole believe all women started a long time ago. So, I mean, I can imagine what that would be like, the police showing up at the house with these 2 big guys, you and your brother, you know, running all these women on camera.
Absolutely. No, I was guilty, bro. I was sitting in the police station. They had these 2 lesbian police investigators and 1 little dorky guy. And in their mind, I'm the big professional kickboxer with the money, and I have all these girls working for him, and I'm arrogant and I'm brash. I have to be guilty. And they couldn't understand in their brain how I don't abuse women. And they're like, oh, but you make women do sex work. I was like, no, I advertise a job on a computer, and girls turn up and do hours. Just like you turn up for your wages and use a computer, they turn up for their wages and use a computer. The only motivation I use is money. If they want to sleep with me, they want to sleep with me. That's completely side to the point. Some do, some don't. But in their mind, in the Western world, you're a sexual terrorist. They couldn't understand it. That's why for 2 years they dug into all my phones, my bank records, everything in the laptop. They raised 3 new cases against me, which I eventually had to get squashed. They were out to ruin my life. It's crazy. That's the Western world as a whole. So that's one of the main reasons I left. I can't live under this system. Police are designed to protect everyone, including me. This is crazy. That girl even came out after the case was dropped. That girl, I even got text messages of that girl admitting she lied. And I went to the police and said, she's just admitted she lied. What's my case against her?
Nothing.
They don't care.
So is it that much better in Eastern Europe?
So Eastern Europe is certainly not a paradise. So let me there's a few assumptions about Eastern Europe that people have that I want to squash. It's better from a male-female dynamic perspective. You're not going to get divorce rates, none of those kind of things. But people think it's this paradise of hot girls and it's really easy to get girls. Absolutely not the case. In fact, I would say that it's harder to get laid in Eastern Europe than it is in Western Europe. And the reason for that is because Eastern European girls are far more, it depends. No, I'm going to take that back. If you're a top tier male, it's better than it is in the West. But if you're not a top tier male, it's much, much harder. Eastern European girls are still traditionally minded. They're going to look at you and go, is he going to give me kids? Can he pay for the kids? Can he give me a house? They're really like that. In the West,
I think if anything, they've got less patience for BS. Yeah. At the end of the day, Roosh spent a lot of time out there. You know who Roosh is, obviously. Now he's this mountain man with he thinks he's God or Jesus or something like that. Yep. What do you think of guys like that?
So this is my exact point. This is why Roosh failed, because I consider Roosh a failure with women. If you're going to live, he
hasn't got anything to show for his life.
Yeah, you're going to dedicate your whole life to women. You don't even have a woman who's going to care for you if you get sick. You have nothing. Is that it? What have you got? I think that's pathetic. And the reason for that is very simple. He was in Ukraine, and Ukrainian girls want family, and they want a man who can pay for the family. They don't want a dork living in a shit apartment who's making a couple bucks off his ebooks, who can't afford anything, and has no substance to him besides going up to girls and saying hello. This is the reality. In the West, you can find a girl who's stupid enough to be like, oh, but I like him. He's funny. So she'll sit and play video games with you because you're funny. It's not easy, but you can find one. You will not find any of them here. They're very objective driven. They're smarter than that. They have better female game. So if you're a top tier male, then in some ways it's better, yes. But if you're Joe Schmo out here, it's very, very difficult because the girls are hot. And Instagram's changed the game. The whole idea that these girls are hot so they don't know they're hot, that crap's gone. I mean, these girls know they're hot. They're not stupid. They know their value because beauty's international now. It's not like it used to be localized. If you were the hot girl in Minnesota, then maybe, you're the hot girl of the town. Now that girl's got 300,000 Instagram followers. She's getting offers to go to Dubai once a week.
Yeah, so you made a good point once where you said like some random hottie in a tiny town in Eastern Europe can have a massive Instagram following, and her entire perception of the sexual marketplace and her value changes very quickly.
Yeah, she knows what she's worth. None of these girls are stupid. Absolutely none of them are stupid, and especially in a country where they feel like their only way out economically is not via a career, it's via a man.
Yeah.
Do you think they're going to bang some loser because he's funny?
Yeah.
This is not going to happen. So sorry, go on.
Sorry, I was going to ask you a little bit more about the manosphere. Adam, I'm going to throw your super chat up in a minute because it kind of like segues into what I want to get into. But you and your brother have been pretty vocal about the manosphere, right? I mean, you've flicked boogers at it a lot. Yeah. I think it's hilarious. I did a video last spring, summer about basically why I left the manosphere because I think it's first of all, it's a stupid name for the. I don't know, like the descriptive term to me sounds like something that should be on a gay nightclub from the Police Academy 6 series or something like that. And there's people that proclaim themselves king or president or whatever of it. It's just dumb. It's like become a collection of people that are now essentially in the monosphere, where we've got a collection of men that have wifed up single moms, become cucked, are borderline morbidly obese, that have nothing to show for their lives at the age of 40. RSD is another good example. So Tyler or Owen or Tyler, whatever his name from RSD, that redheaded ginger guy. According to the internet, it says his net worth is $5 or $6 million from holding these conferences. Like, what's your take on the approach that these guys take to selling this narrative to men about how amazing they are? And I know many of them personally. Most of them are full of it, right? And they're not truly, like, I've seen guys that claim to be experts in the manosphere that have moved 7,000 miles across the world to chase a girl, right? To like follow them down. Like, what's your take on these guys?
Yeah, so the whole thing's interesting to me because I kind of got thrown into this area. I was never on I know there's like a forum, everyone knew each other.
Yeah, you get sucked into it somehow. Like I got sucked into it. I don't know how.
Any of this. I got sucked into it. And because I ran a cam business, I guess I kind of became like a name in it because I came from a completely different angle to the whole thing because I was making money from female employees. And that's how I say it. I say the word pimp and I glamorize it, but really I had female employees and they worked for me and I made money. That was it. So I kind of ended up here. There's a lot of it which is certainly garbage, and there's a lot of anon accounts talking shit and lying. There's loads of lying, and loads of it is super subjective. Like, oh, I got this 8 at the mall. It's like, bro, there's no 8 at a mall in Nebraska. An 8 is on a billionaire's boat in Dubai. A 9 is a movie star. Like, what 8? Like, it's so much garbage involved in it. And you're right. And there's a whole bunch of grifting that goes on as well. Because the thing for me is, I've always kind of had this view where men build their value. So if you're supposed to be a leader of men, then you need to have at least built some value within yourself. That's what I believe. So if you're going to say I'm an expert on how to live life as a man, that's fine. Then you should have some tangible assets so you've built yourself. I'm not saying everyone has to be rich, but physical condition is an easy one, I guess. It's a very easy one. Like if you're a leader of men, why wouldn't you be in shape? Like there's no reason.
We have men out there that claim to be a leader of men, but get out of the shower and they look down and they can't see their own Johnson because their belly's in the way.
Yeah, this is what I mean. So it's very, very difficult for me as a person to adhere to that kind of mindset. Like I've always been a leader by example. That's how I believe you should lead. And I try and do my best by showing things. And especially as a man, if you're going to build value and you're going to teach men to build value, you need to be building value yourself. But I try not to pay too much attention to the manosphere. Like we flick boogers at it because there's a lot of people who come at us and say stupid crap. And we're just like, look, guys, I know that 99% of the things these guys are tweeting are probably lies. They're not even true to begin with. And when you've lived a life like we've lived, it also, one more point. It correlates more also with my worldview. My worldview is that excuses aren't important. And there's a whole bunch of people in the manosphere who are complaining about the way things are, as opposed to just finding a way to win. The rules of the game are the rules of the game. Like, women are this way. Okay. So, like, well, I don't think you can change it. Like, don't you just want to find a way to win somehow? Like, women are a certain way. So
you have an interesting response to that argument. I want to provoke you on it, so you spit it out. But a lot of guys go, well, Tate, look at you, right? Like, you have all of this because of you're a world champion kickboxer and you've run cam girls and and the supercars. And your response is? Well,
my response is, firstly, I didn't have any of it because I didn't have any cars or any money. Because
you did the work.
Yeah, and I did the work. And also, another thing I say to guys all the time, I got more girls when I was broke than I do now. And they don't believe that. And and this is another thing I know, that most of Manosphere guys are full of shit, because there's a big area that no one else has talked about but me. There is a level as a man that you can get to where getting girls becomes even harder. Every single date I go on, the girl is sitting there, and I'm not bragging. This is the truth. She's sitting there thinking, okay, he has no kids. He's not married, supposedly. Probably does have kids. Probably is married. Multi-millionaire, 6'4", kickboxing world champion, pulled up in a Lambo, and he's going to be loyal to me? Nah. I have girls bail on me because they're like, this is trouble. And when I had less money and I was an aspiring fighter and I had like a BMW and a little bit of money, it was actually easier than now, where they're sitting there thinking, this is just trouble. Or what am I going to get out of this? Buy me a handbag. Because they see you as so high value. They're like, well, I need to get something.
They shit test you right away.
He's going to leave me anyway. So what am I going to be left with? So there's a point where it does actually get hard if you get too overtly with it. So
I mean, you found that your close rate actually goes down quite a bit as you age.
My game now, at this point now, is going on dates and trying to justify why I'm single. Of course, I'm not single, but trying to sell her some. But my game is trying to sell her some dream. Oh, I've just moved to Romania. I've been really.
Do you ever sit down and just laugh at that, where she's trying to get you to justify your position to her, like you need to sell yourself to her as far as who you are?
I can tell by the date, but we'll be sitting there and she'll just be like, okay, so you don't have kids? No. What, really? No. And you're not married? No. Like she's going through every scenario in her head. Like, how does this guy not got a girlfriend or a relationship? And I already do, of course. But I'm just like, oh, I've just moved here. I've been really busy working. I have to justify some garbage as for her to believe that I'm not already sacked up with a whole bunch of chicks.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it's my brother. Otherwise, there's just no justification to it in her mind. So there's actually a detrimental part. I started my cam business when I was broke. I started it because I just lost a fight. My hand was broken. I couldn't fight for 7 months and I owed money. I started it from an apartment, a shared apartment with no money. I just had 4 girlfriends that I'd been banging every time I'd win a fight, I'd bang a ring girl. So I had all these girlfriends and they all thought I was the big multimillionaire world champion. Turns out I was broke, but I was selling the dream. This is before Instagram. I was texting them. And
you're at the finish line, right? That's where the women wait.
Yeah, exactly. And it got to a point where I just booked them all flights, flew them in on the same day, sat them all down. They're all like, who's this chick? Who's this chick? And I was like, okay.
I always have to show this, right? Because this is where the women wait.
Well, that's how it goes.
Yeah.
That's how it goes. But yeah, I just flew them all in. This is how I started my cam business. This is my point. I had no money. I just flew all the girls in and sat them down there in the same point and just sat down there and said, we're going to run a cam business. And 2 of them left, 2 stayed. So I had 2 girls to start with. One of them left. One of them still with me. That's how it is.
So Adam's got a follow-up there. Interested in your take on getting past your oneitis. Everybody's had a oneitis. I'm sure you've had one at some point in your life. Yep. How did you get past it? And what's your advice to guys on that?
Oneitis is a lack of options. Oneitis is a lack of options, bro. That's all it's ever going to be. 99% of your problems with women are a lack of options. If you had beautiful women who would talk to you and would spend time with you, you would not have any of the problems you have with women. Your woman giving you shit would go away. You having oneitis would go away. You not knowing all this crap would go away. You dealing with her crap would go away. All of it is options. The more options you have from the female realm, you're going to see how quickly all the problems disappear. Like people say to me, Andrew, what do you say when a girl says this? If a girl says something to me I don't like, I just don't reply and I see another girl. It's not complicated. But then that girl does it, and the girl will learn, okay, if I give him shit, he just doesn't see me and he's with that bitch.
Yeah.
So okay, I'm going to behave because otherwise he just ignores me. He doesn't even care. He doesn't even miss me. Then they want you to miss them. Well, they're trying to get an emotional reaction from you. This is the thing about like stoicism. A lot of guys talk about stoicism and stuff, and there's no stoics in those dorks who talk about it anyway. But my point is, females feed on emotion. So it doesn't matter if it's positive or negative. They want an emotional response from you. The worst thing you can do is insult a girl because it shows she wins. She made you mad. I used to say this all the time. Before a fight, I always argued with my girls. Why? Because they know I'm susceptible. Because I'm stressed. I'm in a tuned emotional state. They know I'm susceptible to garbage. So that's when they'd start garbage arguments. They didn't care if I'd get killed in the ring. They didn't care. They just want they want an argument. Most of the time, I'm above that crap. But now I'm susceptible. They're going to come for you. So this is the thing. How do you get past? To go back to the original question, how do you get past oneitis? You got to have another choice. I mean, women are always going to replace you faster than you can replace them. But you got to have either enough balls to go without a little while, or another choice. If she knows you don't want to leave her because you can't get pussy any other way, how much respect do you expect her to have for you? Like,
what do you think of the? What do you think of the real social dynamics, like Owen, Tyler, sort of guys, pitching guys in these room? You know, like that. To me, it looks like a let's build a better beta sort of convention. What's your take on those sales pitches?
Well, I've seen a little bit of it. I've seen like some of the things they advertise, like peacocking and dressing crazy and all this stupid crap.
Yeah, some of that works, right? I mean, like there's a little bit of baseline that seems to have a positive influence. But at the same time, I mean, you look at a video that Tyler puts out and he's this overweight, borderline obese guy, and he'll talk for an hour and say almost nothing. I mean, you could distill down everything in like 3 minutes to get the meat out of it. Like, what's your take on that angle?
Well, this ties into let's go back to fighting. What Tyler's market is people who don't want to do work. And what's unfortunate about the world is that is a huge market. So
people that want the cheat codes, right?
Yeah,
like
they want to try
to find some kind of shortcut. Rub a cream under your eye, lose 10 years of aging. Pop a pill, lose 20 pounds in 3 days, right? Like that's
learn this magic trick, and you can be an ugly fat loser, and no girl is ever gonna fall for your trick. I mean, even if you have the best opener in the world, it will buy you 10 seconds of attention. You better have something to follow up. Like you can't just be. I say this all the time. People go, cars get girls. I say no. I'll tell you what, Lambo gets you.
Cars get dudes.
Yeah.
You go to the gas station and guys come up to you and talk to you.
They get you 10-year-old boys who scream, woo, every time you go past. And then girls, maybe if you pull up to the club in a Lambo, when you go over and say hello to that girl, because you had a Lambo, you got 10 seconds. She's semi-intrigued, maybe for 5 seconds. If you're boring after that, she doesn't care anymore. That's all you get for your money. So they don't get girls. But the point is this. So I'll give you an example. I own a fight gym in Thailand. I don't talk about that much because it doesn't make much money. And if you own a fight gym and you make it hard, I'm talking about hard to train world champions, you're going to go broke because people don't like it because it's too hard. How do you make money in a fight gym? Well, you make it easy. You make people punch the air. You give out belts. You give out gradings. All these people think they can fight. No one can actually fight. If they actually get in a fight, they get destroyed. None of them get in the cage or get in a pro fight because they're going to lose. But these people believe I'm learning to fight. I have a green belt. Hiya, kids go, women go, all this crap. That's how you make money. That's all Tyler's doing. If he made it legit, his business is going to go down. So he sells a dream. Like the karate dojo will tell you, I'll teach you how to fight and you're never going to get punched in your face. How can you know how to fight if you've never been punched in the face? Doesn't make sense. You know, so it's just what they're doing. They're selling a dream. And that's his whole business market. And anyone who buys into that is an idiot because they ain't going to change anything. You're never going to have, I don't want to brag or nothing, but I'm probably one of the only guys on Twitter. When I put up pictures of girls, they're not stock images. It's me and my women. And sometimes I put up a girl and even people message me, even other well-known people, and they're like, okay, yeah, she's fucking hot. You're not going to get her if you're a dork. There's no way you're going to trick her into not realizing you're a nerd. You can only fake being something so long. This is why what happened to Roosh. This is what Roosh did. He went through life faking he was something. And as soon as he got a girl and she looked beyond his garbage 2 weeks in, she was like, who is this guy? He's a dork. So she left him. He had no substance. As a man, you got to build genuine substance. I have guys message me all the time. How do I come across as alpha? I'm like, be one. That's the easy answer, isn't it?
Is there a line in the sand where you'd recommend guys stop chasing women and focus on doubling down on themselves so they can become stronger, more competent, make more money, have more muscles?
Yeah. And this is the thing, though, but I believe, especially
like the monk mode, you hear a lot of guys talking about monk mode and stuff.
Yeah, I think you can easily do both. And I'll say that because I became a kickboxing world champion while fucking women left, right, and center. So if I can do it, you can do it. Like, I don't believe you'd have to necessarily give it up. But your primary focus should always be on yourself. So if you look at these day game guys, I always give shit to the day game guys. If they were to spend all that energy they spent walking around the mall, going up to every single girl they see in the gym or building a business, they wouldn't have to go around the mall going up to every single girl they see because they'd have some value. So certainly your energy should go into yourself. But yeah, if you see a hot girl, go talk to her. I don't think females should be the focus of your life. I think females are a complement to your life. You know, I don't think it should be the one and only focus. If you wake up every day, how do I get a girl? How do I get a girl? How do I get a girl? You're going to struggle. I wake up every day, still to this day, and I go, okay, I have to train. Okay, I've done training. Okay, I need to make some money. And when all my stuff's done, maybe I'll go to the club. Maybe I'll see a girl. Maybe. Like, you know, but these men are so focused on it, and it's just not going to work because it doesn't give you time to do anything else.
What do you think of Rollo Tomasi's book series?
Yeah, I mean, so this is really interesting in regards to the manosphere and all this stuff. He's certainly a well-known guy, certainly a baseline. The lessons he teaches are really eye-opening for a lot of people. It's interesting for me to read it from my perspective because I've lived a life where I lived before the book. Like a lot of people read the books and then they go and live their life, whereas I lived a life with so many women before the books. So some of the lessons do translate perfectly. I think it's important for everyone to read. Absolutely. And I know there's some politics in the manosphere right now. I'm not getting involved in them. I think he does good work. I think the things you say are certainly important. I think that he doesn't necessarily give a prescription. He highlights the problems. The prescription is much harder than the highlight to the problems. I think everything he says is correct. But after you read his book, it's like, okay, now then what do I do? If all of this is true, what do I do about it? And I think that's where men struggle. And I think if Rollo could come up with that prescription, he'd be a trillionaire. But it's not easy. The prescription's hard.
Yeah, he shies away from prescribing solutions to problems. And I know he's talked about that publicly, so that's not really a secret or anything like that. But I think that, like, when I read the book, I was in my early 40s. Like I'm 47 this year, right? So I mean, I was in my early 40s and I read this thing and I'm like, wow, okay, so a lot of this starts to make sense. I'm seeing the dots connect. I mean, I kind of had a clue to begin with, and that's sort of how I got into pivoting my videos. Like when I started the channel, I was Entrepreneurs in Cars. I was like, you know, successful entrepreneur, had lots of friends with cool cars. Let's get together and do some videos. I did McLarens, Corvettes, Z06, like all kinds of stuff. And then I ran out of friends with cool cars, right? Because I keep a tight network. So I was like, all right, fuck it. And somebody said one day, you should do a video on the kind of women to avoid dating. And that's kind of what pushed me into what I got sucked into, which was then called the manosphere. And I'm like, there's a lot of good information. Like, I think that Rollo's book series is easily one of the first things that most men should comprehend, but then they need to go and double down and do the work. And the unfortunate part is I see a lot of guys that are like, you know what, now that I've seen the code in the matrix for what it is, you know, you see the code kind of falling down the matrix, like in the movie. This is not worth it. I don't want to do this work. This is a really good point.
No, I agree with you, but this is a point that I've learned in my experience with women. I don't believe, okay, in what I teach and my things, I do have one test. I have one test I implement on girls to see if they're a good blueprint or a bad blueprint. And I say blueprint because I believe you make women. I believe if a man respects, a woman is a reflection of her man. So people look at my girls and they'll go, okay, he's got this hot girl who cooks. I've had people live with me. I've had people from like even AJ came and lived with me. People came and live with me and they're like, she cleans the house. She cleans after the dog. She cooks. She does everything you say. She lets you go out. You're out cheating. She doesn't care. She's nice to you. She did. And how? And it's like, it's not a matter of where did I find her? It's I made her that way. A woman's a reflection of her man. So when people say, oh, how do I find a good woman? I don't even agree with that necessary terminology so much. If your life is in order and you're a man worthy of respect, most women are going to respect you. Most, not all. There's the odd idiot. But in general, if your shit's in order, you're going to be fine. So when people say, if you're constantly having women cheat on you, the problem's with you. I'm telling you now, I haven't been cheated on. And I'm trying to think when the last time I got cheated on by a serious girlfriend. 10, 15 years? Where's she going to go? Cheat with who? It's just, I don't have that problem. If every girlfriend you have is cheating on you, there's got to be a point where you look in the mirror and say, okay, maybe this is something to do with me. It can't all be women. Like it takes two to tango. So this whole idea, people say to me, where do you find good women? And I say, look, a woman's a reflection. If you're a good man, you'll see women. And there's a whole bunch of rules in the manosphere that I disagree with. I've had girls I fucked same night who've been fantastic girlfriends. I've had girls who made me wait who were not. I've had girls who, from single parent father with no father who were good. Girls with fathers who were bad. Blah blah.
Okay, so that you've seen have been violated in your own view.
Say again. Sorry.
Some of the rules that the manosphere sets that you violated, saying no, that's not correct.
Yeah, I think nearly every single one of them. I've seen the idea that, you know, if a woman has tattoos, she ain't worth anything. I know girls with tattoos who've been loyal to me for a very long time. I know I've slept with girls first night and they've been good. I've had girls who have no father in their lives who are fine. I've had all these rules. And I think a lot of it is because of who I am as a person. And
are any of those rules, and I'm going to push back here because I mean, I've got a chapter on red flags. I don't know if you've seen it, but there's 20 red flags, and one of them is tattoos, piercings, and daddy issues.
Yep.
And I explicitly say in the daddy issues one, like if she's not done the work on whatever issue she's got with her father or any reasons why she, I'm gonna have to get up to kind of read it through, but I mean, like if she doesn't value men and she feels disrespect towards men and she doesn't value masculinity, if she's not done the work on that, she's always going to have that issue carrying forward. But some women will do the work, right? So there are exceptions to that.
Do you think women self-reflect? Do you think women do work?
No, most of them.
This is going to be really interesting because I'm actually really glad we're having a podcast with like opposing views, but I've never met a woman who sat there and thought,
I don't agree with anybody. And I'm very cool to disagree with people at any given time. We can have that conversation, but you're right. Most people don't, or most women don't self-reflect and take ownership. There's a very, very small handful of women that do.
In my experience, I've never met a woman who's ever decided the problems with her and done any work on herself ever. Yeah. Besides how she looks. That's all she did. I'm
going to be honest with you. I've only met, I think, 2 women that have really done the work on themselves. Yeah. Most of them will just point and sputter at the world and say, it's not my fault. I'm the victim, and they carry around that victim mindset.
Well, if a woman, so let's go back to the point of daddy issues. If a woman doesn't value masculinity.
Yeah.
If a woman doesn't,
let's chat in a second.
Cool. I absolutely have loved a girl. I love women now. I've absolutely, listen, there's no, people seem to struggle with this concept. I can love you with all of my heart, but if you piss me off, I will still kick you out.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I don't love you, but there's limits, there's lines I will not cross for my own sanity and my own self-respect. I adore you, but if you take the piss and you push me too far, you're out. That's it.
Yeah, that boundary's crossed.
That's it is. And people go, well, you don't love her then. No, love does not mean you've sacrificed your entire soul. That doesn't make sense. You can love someone without sacrificing your entire soul. I love you with all my heart, but there's certain things I will not tolerate. You will not have male friends. You will not go to the club without me. If I ask for a coffee, you're going to make one.
Yeah. Are women with male friends a red flag?
Absolutely. That is a certain red flag. That's definitely a red flag. I'd never have a girlfriend that has male friends. Now, I'm not saying you can meet her straight away and tell her to get rid of her male friends, but after like a couple of weeks, you can be like, okay, you got a relationship now. Get rid of it.
But a woman covered in tattoos is not a red flag in your opinion. Like, you're still test it.
Yeah. I think a woman covered in tattoos just has, now she's obviously an exhibitionist. She obviously enjoys attention. Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying that necessarily she's the best blueprint in the world, but I still think that if she meets a man and she understands and she respects him, that she can behave herself. Absolutely. I've had women covered in tattoos who respect themselves, who behave themselves because they respect me. And going back to your point earlier about a woman with no father who doesn't respect masculinity, well, every single lesson in life has to be taught. It doesn't matter what it is. If she's never had anyone to teach her that respect, well, maybe you're the man who's going to make her respect. You're going to make her appreciate masculinity. I'll tell you something now, man. The girls who were the biggest red flags and the girls who looked like the most problems, after I dick them once and ignore them, and they've never been ignored before in their life, they're the ones who crumble hardest. They're the ones who completely lose their shit because it's never happened to them. So if I do meet a girl and I see a bunch of red flags and she has all these male friends and she's always out partying, whatever, and I sleep with her once and I never text her again, they're the ones who break down in their head faster than the good girls because they're so used to having their own way. I'll teach you to respect masculinity one way or another. Don't worry. If you don't respect masculinity, it's fine. Well, if you're unfixable, we'll sleep together once and I'll never talk to you again. Cool. Mm-hmm. One time is enough for me. I remember. I'm smart. Bye. And then and maybe you'll be the first guy who's going to put it on her, because I'm telling you, I've had girls who didn't respect masculinity until they met me.
Yeah.
And they've literally said to me, I've never had a man ignore me before. They've literally said those words. I've never ever slept with a guy and he was uninterested. I was like, yeah, because you're saying stupid shit.
Have you ever seen a woman do work on herself? Back to that point that we were making earlier. You said that you haven't, but you've never like. What about your sister? Because your sister lives in North America. It says on your Wikipedia page that she's a lawyer, right? Like, has she ever had to work on herself based on any kind of discretion she's had in her own life?
I mean, she's a smart girl. She's a lawyer. Obviously, she's doing well for herself. Her boyfriend is a loyal, typical, normal dude. I don't know the ins and outs of their relationship. But when I say about working on themselves, I just mean in regards to the fact a girl will never sit there and go, I can't get a man because I have this problem. They'll sit and think, I can't get a man. Well, maybe I need more makeup or fake tits. They'll think that, but they'll never think anything else. And if I'm going to fix a woman's mind, it's going to be by commanding, telling her the truth, and her obeying me, making her understand things.
What do you think of notch count with women? Is that a red flag for you? Notch count.
No, like, notch count. No, notch count absolutely is a red flag.
Slept with 100 guys.
Yeah,
is that a red flag for you?
Yeah, 100%. That is a red flag.
Yeah.
So there are some red flags that certainly do exist, and I'm going to do a small plug here. My test. I have a test which has never failed me, ever. That allows you to tell if a girl's a good blueprint or a bad blueprint. It's on CobraTate.com in the PhD course. Sorry to do a plug, but that is my test, which never fails. But in regards to notch count is a big problem. It's always gonna be a problem because what's gonna happen is, and this is my simple explanation of it, if a girl gets rid of the stigma of jumping into bed with a new man, then that's gonna be her go-to problem solver. We're arguing, I'll fuck someone else. He's not replying to me, I'll fuck someone else. Oh, I'll go bang someone else. So that's their go-to problem solver. The only thing that stops them doing that is that they don't like the stigma of, I have to sleep with a new man, I'm nervous, I don't know him. Once you remove that for women, then it's very difficult to retain.
Yeah, they have a harder time forming a healthy bond to a guy if they've been on 100 guys, right?
And this is my point. When guys come to me and go, I married this woman and she destroyed my life, you knew she was a hoe. Yeah. Don't come to me and complain that you married a hoe. If you marry a hoe, she's gonna act like a hoe. Like you have to have enough game about you and enough options to be able to choose girls who aren't hoes, because some girls are fundamentally broken. Why would you want to fix that? That's not your problem. Like some guys, and this is down to lack of options. If you don't have all the girls in the world to choose from, you're going to choose whatever you can get, and you're going to be stuck with problems. This is why my relationships are fantastic, because I have choice. If I can choose anything on the menu, I'm going to choose a good dish. If you can have nothing but bread and butter, this is the life, and this is the reality. So when guys come to me and go, I want to be happily married, I'm going to say, good. If you want to be happily married and you want to be a family man, fantastic. You better sleep with 50 girls, because then it's going to give you experience, and it's going to give you 50 women to choose from. If you're going to wife up the first girl you see, you're going to be coming back to me with problems. And that's all it is. That's all it really comes down to. I don't think it's much more complicated than that. And
that's in direct violation and conflict with the triathlon mentality of, getting married right away, not being promiscuous, putting God first, ahead of everything else. What's your take on that?
I mean, I'm not a religious person personally. I don't believe in God personally. I do respect religion. Like I understand that. Like I live in a very religious country. Romania is very religious, but it's kind of like it's not overtly religious. There's churches everywhere, but everyone still drinks and blah 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 blah. I don't believe that a woman's going to stay with you because God said so if you don't fuck her right. That's what I believe. I believe that if she doesn't like you, she's going to leave anyway. And this whole God said kind of garbage, I don't think is a great way to live. But I don't believe in any of his rules. But yeah, the whole tradcon way of life, it's certainly going to die out. And there's a whole bunch of tradcons who are going to suffer big time.
What are the rules that you don't believe in that you think come from God?
That's a good question. So I believe in morality. I just don't believe in the idea of a God or a second life. I understand that Christianity has created the modern morality that we understand. So I respect it from that perspective. But just how you should live your life, as in God says do X, Y, Z, I just don't believe in. I don't believe in any of the holy texts or any of those kind of things. I think it's all complete garbage.
Okay. I want to talk about combat sports before we go. Cool?
Yep.
I asked on Twitter a while ago, like a year ago, and you did a video in your car with your brother about Krav Maga. I don't know if you remember that.
Yep.
Because I wanted to learn hand-to-hand combat. That was around the time that I had just come to get exposed around your Twitter account.
Yep.
And you chimed in with the video. I was actually surprised with your response because you're like, that's stupid. Learn either how to run away or box.
Yep.
When it comes to combat sports, what is your recommendation to guys? I mean, I've joined a dojo since in the last 6 months, and I've got involved in boxing and Krav Maga.
Yeah.
I find Krav useful from the perspective if somebody comes at you with a gun or a knife, you know how to disarm and, stick it back in their face. Because I don't think you're going to box in a scenario like that, would you?
Yeah, so this is a really good question. So
I mean, I want to hear your opinion on it as an update from that video that you made a while ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Firstly, I think my camera's a little bit out of focus. Let me try and cover it and uncover it again.
Okay.
But I don't know if that's going to help. Oh, well. Yeah, so that's a good question. So I've been exposed to violence, and not just in a professional setting. There was
moments where you've traveled and been jumped, right?
I've been attacked multiple times. There was a point in my early fight career where I was selling drugs because I needed money. Like I've had one of those lives where I've been exposed to violence. And I'll tell you a few things about violence that can't be taught. One, violence and fighting are very different. So when you learn to fight, this idea of I'm going to fight. This is my problem with Krav Maga. I'm going to fight this guy with the knife, and I'm going to fight him. Violence isn't a fight. Violence is you're sitting down in the restaurant, 4 guys running with knives because they want you dead, and they all start pack stabbing you. Violence is quick and it's random and it happens by surprise, and there's nothing you can do to survive most violent scenarios. If a guy with a gun wants you or me dead, we're probably going to die. I mean, maybe we can pull something off, but 99.9% of the time you're eating bullets. That's the reality. That's the reality of violence. Krav Maga, I have a problem with it because it teaches a sense of security which simply doesn't exist. I've been stabbed, and 3 of my friends have been killed. And I can tell you about how being stabbed works. The idea that you're going to grab a knife and move his arm, it just doesn't happen. They come at you fast. It comes out of nowhere. They're wielding this knife around from all over the place. And usually, especially in London nowadays, there's 3 or 4 of them. You're dying. And if you get stabbed, you have 4 or 5 seconds of consciousness. It's over. That's it. You're going to die. Boxing, the reason I teach boxing is because boxing is the most realistic to learn. In the gym, you get hit and you hit people. In most other forms, everything to a degree is controlled. Even in Krav Maga, you can't do it full force. He can't really try and stab you, and you can't really try and break his arm. So when it goes down for real, it's never gone down before. Whereas in boxing, if you throw a hook at me, that's gone down for real 10,000 times. I've really slipped a hook, and I've really thrown one back. So it's just more realistic. Sport fighting is always going to be more realistic because it's the only thing that can be practiced in a realistic setting. When I was a professional fighter, every single week, some black belt would walk in from some gym, taekwondo, karate, whatever. And he'd say, I'm a black belt, and he'd put the gloves on and get whooped because he'd never been hit properly. And he was like, what's this? It's like, oh, yeah, it's called getting punched back. It's called fighting someone who can fight. It's completely different when you're touch sparring and all these games. But the reality of violence is that it comes so fast and at random. I've been in clubs drinking a drink, and the time it took me to pick my Red Bull up and put it to my lips, the club has gone from peaceful to eruption of 2 rival gangs and bottles and knives and tables. That's how it happens. That's how people die. So this whole Krav Maga, if he points an M16 at your face, you're going to do that. If a dude has an M16 and he wants you dead, you're dead. So your choices are either maybe the best hope you have is if you're in fighting distance is to take his consciousness away. And the hardest, fastest punch you're going to learn is boxing. The whole idea of grabbing the gun and all that, I don't believe in any of that. And because I've seen too many experiences and I've seen too much stuff go down and it happens too quick. And I've known too many professional fighters, guys as good as me, who die from this stuff. You get attacked by 3 dudes with knives, you don't stand a chance. So I know a couple of guys who come to me and go, well, yeah, but I know Krav Maga. I say, listen, I will beat your ass right now. I guarantee you can't stop my fists, let alone if I had a knife. I guarantee you can. At least boxing.
You're probably right, yeah.
At least boxing is realistic. Boxing is real punches and real retaliation. So it's as realistic as it can get.
Have you got your head on a swivel all the time when you're out and about? I mean, kind of like when you're on a motorcycle, you're looking for people that can potentially kill you. Is the same thing when you're walking around?
When I'm in Romania, not so much. When I'm in London, absolutely. So when I got
stabbed, you feel safer there.
Yeah. So I don't know if you can see it on camera. I don't know if you can see it. My finger came off. I don't know if you can see the scar at the top of my hand. There.
Yeah.
You see it? My finger was completely hanging off. So I had a drug debt for $2,500. Not even big money. And the guy was threatening me over text message, and I was trying to reason with him, buy more time. He stopped replying to me. And 4 days later, he tried to stab me in a car park.
Yeah.
So this is the truth of violence. Threats are not violent. If someone threatens you, they don't want to hurt you. Violence happens without threat, without warning. If someone goes to me, Tate, I'm going to kill you, I'm like, he ain't going to do shit. If he wanted me dead, the last thing he'd do is tell me he's going to kill me. No, why would he tell me? He ain't going to tell me. He's going to come do it. This guy I text this guy 4 times. He ignored me. and then he tried to stab me. And I saw it coming in time and nearly lost my finger. Look, thank God I didn't have, this is why I don't wear headphones. To this day, I will not walk out in the street with headphones. I didn't see him, I heard him. People walk around with their headphones in. Walking target. Mm-hmm. So I heard him and I turned and I hit him with my messed up hand. I stunned him enough for him to run away. But I knew who it was. He's dead now because some other drug death. Someone else killed his ass. But this is how it goes. So yeah, for 2 years after that, I couldn't walk to my car without sweating.
So you're a bigger fan of boxing than overall as combat sports. Yeah,
I'm a kickboxer, and even I will say you don't need kicks on the street. And if you do need, even if you can kick as well as me, which is a lifetime dedication. What if you're wearing jeans? What if it's on slippery grass? What if you fall over? Like it just your hands are always there. Your hands are there, and if you can slip 1, 2, bum, bum, bum. That's all it takes. I'm proud to say, because I'm not a violent man, I've only had 3 altercations outside of the ring in my life, besides the knife. And every single one of them was just, boom, done. There's no need for anything else. That's enough. You know, you're either going to rattle them or put them asleep. This whole ninja shit. And as for BJJ, BJJ is the biggest crock of crap in the world. Anyone who's doing BJJ, you're wasting your time.
Yeah, you don't want to be on the ground.
The number 1 rule in street fights, don't go to the ground. Yeah, that's the number 1 rule. You're going to end up dead. You're going to get head stomped. His friend's going to jump on your head. You're going to be dead. Never do that crap.
That's a fighting technique in a ring. I mean, that's a different thing. Super chat there from Miska says, how do you find gyms, dojos that don't sell the soft dream that you talked about earlier?
Cool. How many times have you had your ass kicked at your dojo?
Me? A couple times, yeah.
There you go. So how many times do you go home hurt?
For me, it's like once a month at least now.
Well, this is fighting. Like, there's no easy. Like, I'm currently teaching my cousin to fight, the one who lives with me. Yeah. He's been with me a month. His eye is black right now. We can put a picture up under this. His eye is all this closed. Why? Because he didn't block it. Like the reality. There's no way to train reality without reality. This is how it is. So you'll know if you're in a fight gym or not. You should know. You'll be able to tell if you're in a fight gym or not.
So if you're in a fight gym, you're getting hurt.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean you're going to get hurt badly, but you're going to feel it. You got to feel it. This is the reality of violence, and there's plenty of gyms out there. But if you go to any boxing gym, boxing is a sport. So there's no one's going to let you get in the ring without teaching you to get punched and punch back. And I think that if you become a high level boxer on the street, it's going to be difficult to deal with. Oh, a guy who's fast with his hands, bang, hits you, bang, hits your friend, doom, doom. Now you're both out. Like, I mean, like, how much more do you need to know? That's enough 99% of the time.
Andrew, I want to thank you for your time, man. It's been enlightening. I hope that we've enlightened and also offended some people at the same time. Yeah, I wish I could reach out and shake your hand, but dude, thanks, man. You guys can find him on Twitter or go to his website. Check him out. I know he's got courses and products there and stuff like that. What's your Twitter handle again? It's
it's a strange handle because I expected it to get banned and it didn't. So it's of Wudan, OFWUDAN. Of Wudan is my Twitter, and CobraTate.com is the website, and I teach lots of different things on there, from how to run a cam company, how to get girls, blah, 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 the whole way through, everything, start to finish.
Yeah. So that's it there, right? Oh, no, it's Or Wudan. Hang on. I'm standing up doing this. Of OF Wudan, WUDAN. All right. So look him up on Twitter. Spelled that wrong. Apologies. Throw that back up. Do it the right way.
Perfect.
At Of Wudan. So check him out. Andrew, thanks for your time, man. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, friend.
All right. Going off the air. Thanks.